folks. So I hope this is working. Just wait a couple minutes till more people are joined. I did say earlier this week I would start at 2 p.m. Okay, just gonna set this up. Is the light affecting the lighting? Should be okay. Okay, yeah, someone has joined. Hi. When she, okay, when she helps Fumi kiss her, Lisa. Hi, bro. Can you guys hear me? Hi. Uh, let me just Yeah, it's been roughly a month. I figure I'd do about one of these a month. So if you guys have questions, you can ask me. And I think I want to talk about a lot of important issues. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, so as you guys have seen the title, so I'm hoping to stay on for a while. I think the last live stream was about a month ago, and I think yeah that went pretty well, and there was questions throughout. So yeah, I was just gonna try to share with you guys what I've noticed. So I've been back to Canada for 6 weeks now. Yes, yeah, roughly 6 weeks, and there's so many issues, and I think so much has changed since when I first arrived in Canada, and so it's not just the country, it's not just immigration, it's not refugees, it's the culture. I think it's heading in the complete opposite direction. So yeah, I'm well. Eric, do you hate Indians? Well, India has a lot of issues. I wouldn't say I hate Indians, but I would say there's a lot of issues with the culture. I'll give you guys one example since you asked this. Oh, sorry, what was the guy's name who asked the question? Eric. So, yeah, Eric, one of my roommate right now is Indian. It's bad. I think I'm gonna do an upcoming video. So see, this is the thing with like cultural differences and stuff. You know, a lot of Indians they don't wipe, they don't use toilet paper. So instead they have this they don't have a bidet. Like he uses like this cup. It's really disgusting. It's actually getting on my nerves. So what he does, no, I'm 100% serious. He lives in the room right next to me. His name is Ankush. So yes, his name is Ankush. See, so that you know I'm not making this up. So yeah, and so this guy he's like fresh out of the boat from India. Works at a fast food place, and he uses that bidet cup. It's really disgusting. So every time after he goes for number two, he goes to the bathtub. Then he gets some water out, and he uses the cup to rinse his ass. But you know what happens sometimes afterwards? Let's say if I want to use the shower, I can literally see like the poop stain and stuff in the bathtub. It's absolutely disgusting. I mean, I don't care what you do if you're living by yourself, but you know, I live in a house of 8 people. There's other people that you know, there's two bathrooms that you know 8 people have to share. It's just stuff like that, and a lot of those things. It's just that this is the one of the many problems of mass immigration, and you get stuff like this, and it's I mean, for now, I mean, I'm not making too much money. I have to pay back my debt. It's just temporary. Just gotta tough it out. That's why, you know, I think it's also one of the many issues when you have too many people converging at one point, when you have to forced to share when you're forced to share these places with all these roommates and stuff. Like when I was in China, I was renting a 2 bedrooms apartment for $137 US, so 1,000 yuan a month. So yeah, this is a massive problem. Imagine if the house had like female roommates. That's why so many people, if you look at, for example, rentals.ca or roommates.ca, those websites, when you look at those apartment listings, so many of them, I would say 30% now, they say female only. Because yeah, it's a massive issue. Even me as a guy, no, like I'm serious, like that bidet thing really bothers me. He uses one of those the jugs that usually holds the milk, but instead he uses to wipe his ass. He goes to the bathtub, and there's poop stains there almost every single day because he doesn't actually use toilet paper. So that's just one of the many issues. This is why I think, you know, a civil war is coming to the West. But yeah, thank you for your question. And now I'm not saying I hate Indians, but I like some things about their culture, like that's just not right. I mean, that's pretty messed up. Also, I understand even the Chinese thing. So the Chinese squatting toilet, I actually approve. I do like the Chinese squatting toilets because it's actually clean. Because yeah, you don't want to imagine a public bathroom toilet, right? You go there, probably what, 300 people are going to sit on there on average every single day. You don't actually want to sit on the seat because that's quite disgusting. So when you're squatting, you're not touching someone's ass cheeks from, you know, 5 minutes ago. It's just the fact that the toilet bins for the toilet tissues, yeah, I don't know why. Like you can't. When you're wiping, right after you wipe, you can't just flush the toilet paper down those Chinese toilets. You have to put them in a bin, which really bothers me because like there's obviously all the the residue, the feces and stuff that's gonna be left over there, and that bin probably only gets changed once, maybe once every 2 days. So yeah, and sometimes the smell can be quite bad. That part really bothers me. I think it's something to do with the water pressure in China. Maybe it's not strong enough, so if you flush the toilet paper down the toilet, it's gonna get stuck or something. But yeah, that's just one of many things. Yeah, and people think I'm trying to exaggerate, but yeah, that's my roommate Ankush, man. That little water jug bidet thing that really bothers the shit out of me, literally, because you can see the poop stains in the bathtub every day. So and thank you. Oh, let me get to some other questions. So hello from Australia. So Eric is from Australia. Oh, I didn't realize. Do you hate Indians? No, I'm not saying I hate Indians, but I think there's a lot of issues with their culture. That's what I'm saying. And also, let's see. Do you miss China from Lisa? Yes, somewhat. I think. Well, one thing I would say I actually miss the most. Here's another thing. I'll give you guys an example. Oh, it's good. Well, we have 46 people now. So when I was in China, I did mention to you guys. When I'm using the units, I'll use US dollars since yeah, most of my audience, over 40% are from the US. So I did mention before, right? You can rent a 2-bedroom apartment, right? So 650 square feet, all included, right? For 137 US dollars per month. I mean, that's unbelievable. That's why you have the movement of, the passport bros. I'll post this in an upcoming video because at the end of the day, I think, it's not so much as, as there, let's say if there's an obsession with, Western man, between Western man and Asian woman or Latin woman. It's because the Western dollar, when you take it to a developing or third world country, it will take you 10 times further. Right? Imagine if you go to a really, really poor country, like if you go to Cambodia or something, and let's say if you're making $1,000 US a month, you're probably the top 5% of income earners. That's why so many people are willing to relocate to these countries, right? It's not as much as, they're obsessed with Asian women or Filipino women or Mexican or these women from Colombia or Panama. It's because everything is so much cheaper. And one thing about the inflation is that, like, obviously things are going up in China as well, but you have to look at the relative, to the wage, the average wage Chinese people are making, and also you have to look at the. Oh, something fell. It's okay. Also, you have to look at, let's say, how expensive things were 10 years ago. So this time, when I went back to China, so I haven't been back in 8 years. I'm talking about compared to my previous trip, and so I compared the prices, to what happened 8 years ago. So now this will be over 9 years ago. Pretty much everything is almost the same. Like the street food has not gone up. Like I like those stinky tofus in China. It's called chou tofu. So it's a different variations every city you go. Those stinky tofus, the small portions in my hometown. So you get 8 pieces of tofu. So they were 5 yuan. So 5 yuan, 70 cents USD. 8 years ago, there were 70 cents USD, and when I went back this time, it was still 70 cents USD. And they have those fried. I like those fried chicken strips and the fried squid rings. So usually those ones are, you can get a small, medium, or large. So the small is 5 yuan or 70 cents USD, and the large one 10 yuan is $1.40 or $1.37 USD. That was the price 8 years ago. And when I went to those food trucks, it's the exact same price. Right, so you might say, the wages are stalling. Maybe there's inflation. I agree, there's inflation, but I think at least China is tackling the inflation crisis a lot better. Yeah, and in the West, it's really, really bad because I know this, right? I've been working on and off at a grocery store for many, many years. I first started, well, that was 12 years ago, but I quit many times because then I came back, I quit, and I came back. So I probably worked there for maybe 5 or 6. So usually if you live in Ontario, you know that every single year the minimum wage goes up on October 1st. It's usually 2%. Some odd cases, maybe it goes up by 2.5% or 3%, typically 2% per year. But what happens is usually the grocery stores, they raise the prices in June, 4 months before that. So before your wage goes up, 4 months before that, they actually start raising the prices of everyday commodities like your bread, your dumplings, wonton, your bread and milk. And every time it goes up, it doesn't go up by 2%. It's always 3 or 4 or 5%. So like, it can never ever keep up. So you're just trapped in this vicious cycle. And I can give you guys a great example. So I've seen some new comments about this inflation rate, the place I used to live in a small town before I'm in Ottawa right now. And so the small town I lived in, we had a neighbor, a white family. And so both of the parents, just a normal white guy and a normal white woman, nothing special. They make average income, not even average, possibly below average. So they work at a printing factory, and at the factory, the warehouse they work at, there's only 6 people, including two of them. So outside of two of them, there's just 6 of them. So they just work a normal 9 to 5 day job. They don't even work weekends. They just work 40 hours a week. And so they were able to purchase a really, really nice and big house. And they own 2 cars. So they have a normal sedan and they have an SUV. And they were able to afford it to raise 2 daughters. And the last time I met them, this is many years ago, must be 8 or 10 years ago, they were both married. And they're living a perfectly fine life. So yeah, just 2 people working at a printing factory, working 40 hours a week. They can afford to buy a big house, and they also have a cottage home. They have a family van. They have a car, and that's what I mean. Like the inflation is out of control. Like there's no way the average young people can afford those things anymore. And so things are getting really bad. And obviously, one of the many contributing factors is immigration is completely out of control. Let me read a few more comments, and I'll go on with this immigration talk. So sexy in the portrait mode. Oh, thank you, Tumbledree. I don't know if some of these comments are from bots. Canada. Okay, let me read some more of comments. What do you say about Eric again? What do you say about Indian born raised in Western countries, like in Indians born in Australia? Well, I think everybody is different, and obviously my story is going to be completely different compared to. I did mention to you guys, I in the video, right? My younger cousin and my younger half sister, they're both married to Chinese billionaires. Obviously, everybody's different. I don't think you can necessarily say, oh, all Indians are bad, or all Chinese people, or all black people are bad. Like so my younger half sister, 4 years younger. I also have a cousin. She's 4 years younger. So they're both 29 now. So they've been married for a while now. They got married when they were 25. That's what I mean. Women are born with values. So my sister, the one that she married, the guy, he's a 6'2" Chinese guy, and he makes 6 figures, and he has a big house in Toronto. But the thing is, right? How the hell can a young guy in his 20s afford to buy a big house in Toronto? So you're looking at probably $2 million, while his parents bought it for him. So that makes all the difference. That's what I mean. You need family. Without family, like there's no hope for you at all. Like that's why I'm sorry to say I'm facing so much struggle. That's why a lot of people are bringing up, oh, how come what happened to Black America? How come what happened to Hispanic America? How come they're all struggling? Because you don't have family. Look at the single mother home rates, right? I believe in Black America it's 64%, right? And I think 72% of Black children are born out of wedlock. It's nothing racist or controversial. It's the same for anybody. Like if you're born without family, you pretty much have no chance. I showed that video with Jeremy Lin. If you guys watched that video, the 27-minute video. So Jeremy Lin, after he graduated from Harvard, he said that he wanted his shot at the NBA, and his parents just told him, we have enough money for you to take care of you financially for 2 years. And they didn't tell Jeremy Lin where they got the money. They actually took out both of them. They took out their 401k in order to support him financially. So, and I can guarantee you guys this, right? If it wasn't for his parents taking out their 401k, Jeremy Lin would have never made it to the NBA. He would have just, worked some normal day job. Maybe he would be working at a bank or work as a consultant or something. He would have never made it to the NBA. And in fact, if Jeremy Lin was raised by a single mother, he would never have made it to the Harvard. He would have probably dropped out of high school from all the chaos, from all the family drama, right? So, like the one my sister married, this guy's 6'2" millionaire. Well, his parents are married. They're together. And, his daddy is rich. So his daddy bought him a big house so he can get married. Same thing, the one my cousin married, she's 29 years old also. And her husband, he has a $3 million mansion. Well, I'm just saying, I don't know how much it is exactly. I've seen the photos of the nice and big mansion. It's in Markham. So Markham, Ontario, just north of Toronto, where, half of the population is Chinese. The reason why he can afford to get married is because his daddy is rich and his daddy bought the house for him. That's how he can get married. So that's what I mean. You need to have family. And, without family, like there's virtually no chance. And don't talk about LeBron James, right? Like that's only one LeBron James. Yeah. So what? He grew up without a father. That's the exception. That's the 1 or 2% of the time. But yeah, this is what I mean. Like, I don't think you can just necessarily categorize all people by just their religion or ethnicity. And a lot of it has to do with your family. I would say most of the time. So yeah, let me move past Eric. Canada is full of R words. Okay. Crying, laughing, brutal. Fecal fast food. That dude, yeah, that's my roommate Ankush. Yeah, it's a massive problem, man. So I love the frank speaking. Hope you can get better housing situation soon, Lisa. Okay, wishing the best. Oh, thank you. Well, it's okay. I mean, I don't think I'm going to look to move because yeah, the rent is so expensive, and yeah, it's bad, man. The first time I moved out of my well, I was kicked out when I was 15. I was forced to move out of the house. That was back in 2007, from 2007 to 2008. Yeah, I was renting like a room in a house, and my rent was $300 Canadian per month. So that's what, $215 US. I mean, that was when I was in high school, but still, like, I mean, I'm not that old. So that was about yeah, 15, 16 years ago. It's quite outrageous, like how expensive things have gotten. When I tell people, how much things used to cost. For example, right, speaking about inflation, things have gotten so bad. So I was just at McDonald's like three hours ago. Yeah, I got the double Big Mac combo. I usually get the extra mac sauce. So the extra mac sauce at McDonald's, well, in Canada anyways, when I used to work there for a year, when I worked at McDonald's, the extra mac sauce or whatever you want, the tartar sauce or, just all kind of sauce they have, right? They used to cost 30 cents. 30 cents extra, right? If you ask for extra sauce. And this time I went to look at the menu. Now it's $1. Yeah, if you want extra mac sauce on your Big Mac or double Big Mac, it went from 30 cents to $1. That's that's 230% increase, 233% increase. That over the course, what, 15 years? Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, young people have no hope at all, and I'm being 100% honest with my financial situation. But the thing is, right, when you, especially young people, the people I'm seeing on social media, probably 98% of them, they're full of BS lies. They're drowning in debt because how can these people afford to have a nice big apartment? How can they afford to drive a Mercedes? How can they afford to go to NBA or NFL games? How can they afford to take their girlfriend out to concerts? How can they afford to go on vacation in Mexico? How can they afford their Netflix or their Disney Plus subscription? Right, so there's only two things basically. You have to be drowning in debt. You have to take out line of credit. You have to use your credit card, or the only other option is that if you have rich parents, if your daddy is wiring you money, that is the only way. So the vast majority of the people, especially young people, they're drowning in debt. Right, you look at the credit card debt in America, 1.22 trillion US dollars. So what's the average per adult in America? I believe is over 40,000. Yeah, I think it's something like $40,000 US per US adult. So that's just your credit card. Imagine if you add in things like your student loans. And keep in mind now, one of the many reasons why dating has gotten so bad in the West, right? So imagine, especially if you want to date a girl who has graduated from university or she has a master's degree, because 60% of the post-secondary programs of the enrollment, the student body, 60% of them are female now. And not just that, so 66% of all student loans in the United States are owed by women. Yes, 66%. You can actually look up, you can go to the Bureau of Statistics, you can pull all these up. So two out of well, was that? Yeah, 2/3 of all student loans are owned by women. So the chances are, right? Let's say if you find this really nice girl who's fresh out of university, you want to possibly start dating and get married and have children. Then, but when things start to get serious after 3 months of dating, you start asking her these serious questions. Then she tells you, "Yeah, I'm actually $100,000 in debt." Yeah, a lot of men are going to say, well, actually, I don't know. Maybe it's better for me to just, let's just stay as a, casual situationship, a summer fling. I don't want to get serious with you because if this relationship gets serious, I mean, your $100,000 debt, now that's my debt. That's why so many men want to become passport bros, right? They can go to Colombia or something and get an 18-year-old who has never been to school, and she doesn't have that $100,000 in debt. So this is a massive crisis because honestly, even for me, right, that's the only way like people can afford to live. I'm just looking at the price of everything, right? Like I just mentioned, I went to McDonald's, like the extra Big Mac sauce used to be 30 cents. That was 15 years ago, and now it's $1. So that's a 233% increase in 15 years. Like it's everything, man. It's not just your house. It's not just your car. So yeah, and the debt issue. So you look at any average 22-year-old that's graduating from university right now, especially young women. Most of them, 90% of them are anywhere between 50 grand to $100,000 in debt. Like, do you want to take out that on, because if you do choose to date that girl, now like that debt is now your debt. That becomes your burden. That's your baggage. That's your responsibility. So yeah, we're trapped in a very vicious cycle. At the very least, even though I have a lot of debt, I can say that I'm paying that back. My goal is that hopefully by the end of 2027. So that's why I'm working 7 days a week. So let me move past that. Let me read more of the comments. I see more people joining. More honey. Uh, just because something is cultural doesn't make it right. Yeah. Are you being serious in your videos, or is it partly entertainment? Well, Chris 20. So sometimes it's a series. I would say it's mixture 50-50. Sometimes it's serious. Sometimes it's more of a just trying to get the algorithm, try to get more clicks. Sometimes just trying to lighten the mood. But sometimes 100% serious. Like when I talk about immigrations, I think it's a massive issue. If you look at immigration numbers, so Canada, country of 41 million. Although that number is questionable, I think it's much higher because if you look at the immigration numbers, the first 3 months of 2025, Canada took in 800,000 immigrants. So if this keeps up, by the end of this year, Canada would have taken in 3.2 million immigrants. So that's the equivalent, if you live in the US, that's the equivalent of the US taking in 27 million people in 1 year. You guys don't think that's freaking nuts? You wonder why things are so expensive. That's what I mean. I think the UK is going to be the first country to actually have a massive civil war breakout because everybody knows the Western nations, they're in a decline. Canada's in a decline. US, UK, Australia, New Zealand, France, they're all in a decline. So there's less jobs, there's less money to be made for everybody. And what happens, despite all of this, you keep bringing 1 million, 2 million, 3 million people every single year. What is the I think the rate of migrants that's crossing the English Channel into the UK, they're up to, I think it's 1,000 people per day now entering the UK illegally from those migrant boats. That's just people arriving on boats, those refugees. And if you count, the legal immigrants, right? I believe the cap in the UK is 600,000 per year. That's legally coming into the UK. And yeah, because, these people, when they come in, right? So what are you going to do? Either the government has to give them money because how can they survive? If the and that's going to come out of the taxpayers' pocket, right? I believe the government has already said over the next 10 years, that's going to cost the UK taxpayers 15 billion pounds. So that's what, $18 billion US, that's coming out of your taxpayers' pocket. And what happens if you don't take care of these people? They have to find jobs, right? These people, especially the people with no skills or education, the only jobs they can have is manual labor, be a bricklayer, work at a factory. And that's going to completely destroy the blue-collared workers in the UK because the previous guys who were, doing constructions, who are bricklayers, who are doing manual labor, I mean, now you have to compete with millions and millions of migrants who are coming in. And yeah, you're going to have no chance. So yeah, that's why there's going to be a massive civil war. Like if you're struggling right there, if you can barely make enough money to make end meet, you're struggling to put food on the table. Imagine if you're, let's say, a white English guy, right? Then some migrant comes in from Somalia. And the government puts him at your construction site. He takes your job as a bricklayer. Now you don't have job. Now you can't pay the bills. You can't take care of your wife. You can't take care of your 2 children. I mean, obviously, this guy is going to go into a massive rage mode. And yeah, that's what I mean. Like immigration can work. I mean, if your country is benefiting, and if the economy is actually growing, and you have to look at the numbers subjectively because Canada's GDP in the first quarter, according to Melanie Jolie, she said it grew by 2.2% or something. But I mean, yeah, Canada took in 800,000 people. That's why. So if you look at GDP per capita, Canada's GDP actually shrunk by, I believe, like 0.8%. So yeah, this is like the Western countries are heading in a terrible direction. That's why I'm absolutely shocked by the results of the election. I don't even think it's at the point of net migration. If you look at the most recent polls in the UK, they're saying that vast majority of the people, right? So in 2023, I believe the UK took in 1.3 million people, right? So 1.3 million, keep in mind, the UK is smaller than New Zealand. New Zealand has 5 million people. The UK has 70 million people now. That's just outrageous. And so 85% of the people in the UK said that they want the net migration rate to be reduced to less than 100,000 people per year. 85% of the people in the UK, this is including, obviously, a lot of them are immigrants who are against immigration now. And 50% of the population said that the UK should not be taking any immigrants or refugees. Zero. They want UK to get rid of all the illegal migrants, expel millions of them. So and the people have made their point pretty clear, but the government just I don't think they actually care at all. So this is the state of Western countries, and I believe the UK will be the very first country to actually go into a civil war. It's bad. Like I'm talking about what do I mean by civil war? I'm talking about there's going to be like the Proud Boys or something like, yeah, the Proud Boys versus like Black Lives Matter. This is going to be a complete disaster. And people might think, oh, you're just exaggerating. It's not that bad. But yeah, I'm just saying that the things that a lot of people are just too afraid to say, because everybody can see it at this point. Yeah, the vast majority of white people, they do not like immigrants. They're just afraid to say it because they're worried about getting expelled from school or losing their job. It's just let me just take a sip of water. Here, let me read some of these comments. Okay, okay, there's a $10 super thank you. Thank you. Geotish Blade. Okay, is a channel member. Okay, thank you. So thank you for the $10. Geotish Blade. Where are you gonna do debates, interviews, guest appearances on podcasts? If you don't, your growth is limited. Come on, bro, it's time. Yeah, I'm planning. Yeah, I mean, so I'll tell you what happened. Right now, I'm in the classroom, it's empty. So I'm hoping in September I can bring some people, some students to talk to. And also, I did mention it's very difficult. I'm pretty much working nonstop. This is what I mean when inflation is out of control. Well, for me, it's because I went back to school for 6 years, college and university. So I had to, obviously, it's going to take me some time to pay back my debt, because the number one issue is interest, because my line of credit, the interest rate is 10%. So what happens is if I just pay back like the bare minimum, it's only the interest. If I pay back only like $300 a month every single month, so all the money I can make, I have to try to pay back to my line of credit as much as I can, or else my debt is never going down, because the interest rates will just keep on accumulating. That's how they get you. Like, so yeah. Right now, especially the next couple months, my supervisor, there's two of them, and they're both about to go on vacation. One guy about 2 weeks, the other guy about 4 weeks. And in my department, there's only 4 people. So I have to work like extra hours to cover their shift. So it's going to be very difficult. I think hopefully starting September, I told my boss, I said, they just limit my hours to about 4 days. And I don't even want to do 8 or 9 hour shifts, just do 7 hours. So when I'm down to about 28 hours, I think it's more manageable. I'll invite some more students. Like young people, especially just mostly university students, to talk about these issues. Yeah, I understand. It's just I wish obviously if I was making enough money to do this full time, I wouldn't just be sitting here talking myself. But right now it's extremely difficult, right? And things are just so expensive in Canada. And I'm hoping when things improves in 2026, I think at one point I do have to quit permanently, because I don't see a point of working at a minimum wage job, because with the money I'm making, like if I was just working at a grocery store, like I wouldn't have no way of paying back my debt. The only reason why my debt is going down is because I'm making money from this channel. So with 2 incomes, I can pay back my debt. So I think I will return to China probably next year, maybe next fall, and I will do like a lot of those I don't like those like 30-second straight interviews. A lot of it is like really fake, especially when people ask, oh, you ask a woman, well, what's your body count? I mean, nobody's going to be telling the truth, right? They say, oh, I've actually only been with one guy. I'm just I've been single this whole time. And when you ask these women, would you date a man who's broke with no house or no car? These women are saying like, oh yeah, totally, no problem at all. I'm not looking for 6 feet, 6 figures. The guy doesn't have to have any money, and that's all 100% BS. I think it's extremely important to talk about these topics. Why young people are struggling so much, and it can't just be like a 30-second clip I'm recording from my phone. I think I need to actually actually sit down with these people, have those like a coffee break or something, and actually have a genuine conversation. So yeah, I'm hoping starting September I will have some more interviews out. Before that, I have some pretty interesting videos that's going to be released this summer. But yeah, it's just hope you guys I hope you guys are be understanding. I'm hoping to release like channels member only videos in the future as well, but it's just yeah, the time is extremely tight right now. Like I'm working like probably over 70 hours a week right now. So, well, thank you, Jutish Blade. Let me, well, there's a lot of comments. Let me actually go read some of the comments. Okay, I was 112 people now. So, well, thank you for the $10. Let me actually read some more of the comments. My cousins are female. They get married in their 20s, married with kids, except sisters. She married her 30s. I'm still unmarried. Yeah, especially for Asian women, it's so easy for you to actually find. I'm talking about not just a regular dude. It's so easy for you to find a tall, rich, successful man to get married. If you end up becoming a leftover woman, it's 100% your fault, right? It's just for a man, you have to compete with tens and millions of other men. But as a woman, all you have to do is exist. So, uh, let me go through this. Uh, LeBron has like elite 0.01 percentage. Yeah, and yeah, like people like LeBron James, that's all genetics. So, for example, someone like Messi, right? Obviously, I understand like LeBron's like 6'9" and he weighs what 260. Like Messi is only 5'6". Well, that's what he's listed at, anyways. So. I mean, he was born with talent. He was just born special. That's it. Also, like you look at someone like Lamine Yamal, right? Lamine Yamal is 17 right now, and I believe his market value is like 200 million euros, something like that. And so if you look at, there's like videos of Lamine Yamal when he was like 9 or 10 years old. And I think he first entered La Masia. How do you call it? Like the academy for Barcelona when he was like 11 or something. If you look at his old training footage, ever since he was a kid, he was just born special. Like there's nothing you can do. Just like Shaquille O'Neal, right? If you put Shaquille O'Neal into Kevin Hart's body, there's no way he can make it as a professional athlete. Like Shaquille O'Neal will be broke. He'll be bankrupt. So like a lot of it is like people just were born that way. They were just born special. It's not about working hard or training hard. It's just it doesn't matter how hard I want to work. There's no way I can make it to the NBA or NFL. Like imagine I go up against a Gronk in training camp or a Tyreek Hill or a Juju Smith-Schuster. Like how the hell am I supposed to stop those guys? It's just it's all genetics. So it has. I understand hard work helps, but hard work that's maybe 10% of it. 90% of it is look at Kobe Bryant. His dad played in the NBA. Same thing. Look at a lot of NBA players. Mike Conley. His dad was in the Olympics for triple jump. Look at Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland. His father was a professional soccer player. He used to play for Manchester City and Leeds. And Erling Haaland's mother. She also competed in the Olympics for heptathlon. So I mean, yeah. So his mother is a heptathlete and his mother is a professional football player. That's why he turned out the way he did. He's this 6'5" like beast who's a goal scoring machine. It's all genetics. So let me drowning in debt credit, wondering why they can get no callbacks from employers when they graduate. Yeah, and also the thing is, this is the issue. Like Canada is taking way too many people, especially since Trudeau took power. It's so freaking hard to actually find like a good paying job now, like for someone who spent a lot of money on their university degree. Because when Trudeau first took power, November 4th of 2015, Canada had 200,000 international students. Now I think it's at like 1.5 million. I don't know if it's 1.5 million. It's at least 1.2 million. So now you're at a point when you graduate, you have to compete with like 30-year-old from India, right? You have to compete with a 32-year-old from Nigeria with a master's degree and 5 years working experience. And you got to compete with some 36-year-old from Congo. You got to compete with some 40-year-old guy from Egypt. There are way too many people that's coming to Canada, right? It's like imagine this, right? Let's say, if you live in the national capital region, so number one employer, it's the government. So I believe there's 127,000 people that's being employed by the government. Let's say every single year, 10,000 of those people retires. So the government can hire 10,000 people per year. And that won't be so bad. Let's say, out of the two major universities, let's say Carleton University and the University of Ottawa, right? Every single year, let's say they had 10,000 graduates that can fill these jobs. It will be perfect. But now what happens under Trudeau's plan? Canada's international students, right? It goes from 200,000 to 1.2 million in just 8 years. So now, instead of 10,000 people that's graduating to fill these jobs, you got 50,000 people that's graduating. So yeah, how are these people supposed to find the jobs? The jobs are not there. Even the government, they just recently laid off like 800 people because, the economy is not good. Canada is heading into a recession. So there's no way for the government to create that many jobs. It's just, there's way too much competition. The population is exploding. And honestly, the government doesn't care because the vast majority of the people, even the immigrants, they don't want any more immigrants. But they just keep bringing more people in. And so, sorry, I'm just getting thirsty. Yeah, let me read more of these comments. So yeah, this is what I mean. I think also you guys know what has happened since I started working at the grocery store. the theft is rampant. It's gotten so bad. And I would say, like, before Trudeau took power, you would never ever see white people do stuff like this. But now even like the white people, like, they don't care anymore because yeah, there's no consequence. Like the other day, I told you guys one of my previous videos, like a big fat white guy, he just walked out with like $500 worth of groceries. Yeah, and even like people, even when you watch them, the other day I saw this girl, white Canadian girl, not an immigrant, not a black girl, not a Muslim girl. Okay, so she picked out like 2 tubes of the most expensive toothpaste. They were like $11.99, and she actually, I think a lot of people, they're concerned because if you actually take out the whole package, like with the barcode, with the outer box, it actually beeps like when you're walking out. So she just took out the 2 tubes of ice cream. She removed like the plastic box on the outside, and she just stuffed them in her purse. Like the security guard was watching too. The security guard didn't do anything, didn't do shit. Just let her take it, and she's just like, "Oh, I'll just take your toothpaste, whatever." And she just walked out. So that's what, like $22 worth of toothpaste. Yeah, and even like I was at Dollarama just a few days ago. It was just another white lady. She walked in with her purse. She started staffing like just snacks into her purse. It doesn't care. Probably took like $50 worth of stuff and just walked right out. So this is the state of Canada. Yeah, that's the behavior of a third world country. And I said this before, it has nothing to do with your race or even your religion. It's 100% to do with culture. That's the culture cancer. Like nobody cares anymore. And at this point, the vast majority of small businesses, they're going to go bankrupt because soon what you will see is that a lot of places, they're going to turn to fast food places like Tim Hortons or McDonald's. You have to pay before you actually get your food because a lot of people are going to die and dash because they don't care. They'll just go to a fancy restaurant and spend like $300 on dinner and they'll walk right out. People are doing that everywhere now, and it's turning rampant. Like even white people, nobody cares anymore. They just walk in and they stuff their bags and they walk right out. So yeah, that's the state, Canada, where you're supposed to be one of the best countries in the world. Even white people are all doing that now. Nobody cares. And I think it also shows that the reason why people are doing that is because things have gotten so expensive and a lot of them, they just can't afford to pay the bills anymore. They say, oh, so what? Like nobody's going to actually arrest me. So might as well just go into the store and steal. Like why pay for all of this stuff? So, and let me read more of the comments. I'm falling behind on some of the comments. So $5 you cannot buy much nowadays, not even a burger. Yeah, well, like a Big Mac meal in Canada, I think it's like 13 something. I usually get a double Big Mac meal. It's like, how much is it? It's like 15.81. No, I think, yeah, it's almost the $16 Canadian. So yeah, I remember chicken burritos $1.25, 39, zero debt, student loans paid off, house and 300K in the bank, top of an investment. Okay. Well, if you're saying it's true, Dave Ghost, then good for you. I hope that things will work out for you. Gym is important. 35-year-old in the Baltics lost the job because of an immigrant. Yeah, it's completely out of control now. I've never seen anything like this. I'm serious. Canada is actually on pace to take in 3.2 million people this year. That's the equivalent of the United States taking in 27 million people in 1 year. Like, it's going to turn to hell on earth. Like, how are people going to find jobs? How are people going to find housing? There's only so many apartments. There's only so many rooms available for rent. So, yeah. Imagine lady bringing 100K then filing for divorce when we have cleared the debt. Yeah, it's a huge issue, especially the debt issue, because the vast majority of the student loans are carried by women, right? 66%. Yeah, so if you're looking to marry a 22-year-old fresh out of university, you got to be ready because she's probably drowning in debt. That's why, it's probably better to marry a girl who works at Wendy's, given the fact that, she's fairly attractive and she's feminine, not like a big fat white girl or something. But, if that's what you're into, if you like the big fat white girls, everybody's different. So shout out to the algorithm. The FED Instagram owns your girl, bro. You're gonna buy her out. Love your vids, bro. Okay, thank you. Let me read. I'm in debt to my parents. They paid off my debt. I was so stupid, racked up ton of credit card debt. Yeah, the debt, especially credit card, is even worse than line of credit because my line of credit right now is 9.9%. Credit card is 20%. it will eat you right up. Because say if you have a $10,000 of credit card debt, if you pay back, so if at 20%, that's like $833 every month. So if you only pay back $833, your credit card debt is not going down at all. You have to pay back at least like $1,500 a month for you to clear your debt. That's why so many people are struggling. That's why I have to work like over 70 hours a week. And yeah, once again, who sent that super thank you, Jyotish Blade. Starting in starting what? I think there's a bunch of okay, 1 second. There's like a dot. Well, I think there's like a bot that's sending what? Okay, I'm gonna have to block a couple people. Sorry, some people are leaving yeah, I'm sorry, just going through a few of the comments. If you send the extremely inappropriate messages, usually it's flagged out, but sometimes I can open them and see them. If you send like really extremely inappropriate stuff, I just had to block someone because yeah, someone said I'm like a Chinese communist spy and I work for Dogi. Like, shut down your page now. And yeah, just it's crazy people out there. Okay, there's another. Thank you for the super. Thank you. Okay, thank you for the $5. Journey, trials, and joy. Hi, Chinese historian. Keep speaking the truth, brother. Oh, thank you so much. So it's just a super thank you. There's no questions. Hey, thank you. Yeah, I will try to do my best. But yeah, let me get back on track. But sometimes maybe that account was a bot or something. But sometimes I run into those channels. It's very annoying. Canada having a full civil war. You guys don't even have guns. Well, it's not as bad as the US, but a lot of people do own guns in Canada as well. But even without guns, look at the UK. People just start stabbing everybody. It's like everybody owns a knife in the UK now. It's like the knife attack capital of the world. Yeah, especially in that city was called Middlesbrough. Yeah, look up Middlesbrough. Like everybody in that town has knives now. Like I'm not talking about, once again, it's not even just the immigrants anymore. All the white people own knives now in the UK as well, especially in Middlesbrough. Like people are going to stab each other to the death, right? That's the state we're in. So, do you have a degree? How old are you, bro? I'm 32. I'm about to turn 33. Yes, I have a college diploma and a university degree. But like I said, finding a job now is extremely difficult. And even if I, let's say, even if I do get into the government, so what? So, I mean, when my starting wage is probably going to be what, like 60K Canadian, by the way. So that's like $45,000 US. Now after 5 years, I'll probably get to 100,000. I mean, but nowadays, I'm sure you guys can understand, right? Things have gotten so bad. 100,000 used to be so much money, but now 100,000 is nothing. Like if you live in Toronto or Vancouver or New York or LA, like 100,000. Imagine living in Midtown Manhattan, like 100,000. That's minimum wage. That's what I mean. Like so, yeah. That's why I'm looking to pay back all my debt and leave here because it's not going to get any better with millions of immigrants coming every single month because the resources are going to be stretched extremely thin. Everything will be so much worse. So, Indians own majority of hotels in America. I think it's mostly motels. I don't think the majority of hotels are owned by Indians. Once again, there's a lot of misconception. For example, the grocery store I'm working at, people think it's a Chinese grocery store. It's actually owned by rich white people. So, sometimes, you gotta really do your research. Sometimes you think it's Indian or Chinese owned, but it's not. Most of them are actually owned by rich white people. So now that's why I started to go to church on a regular basis. People can't function as lone wolves. Yes, yeah, that's a great point. Thank you. So that's quite a long name. So Chaldeen from, well, I'll just say Chaldeen. Yeah, it's very important. Think about, any other activity where you get to actually meet people and socialize 52 times a year. That's why you need religion. And people asking me, oh, what about Muslims? Like people who are like Allahu Akbar. Do you want them to follow like the Sharia law or like read the Quran or something? Well, I have a lot to say on that. Maybe later in the live stream. But I'm talking about, once again, excuse me. I'm talking about Western countries. I'm talking about the Judeo-Christian values. People need to actually bring back the church. So, and once again, this is very important. A lot of people are so misinformed. I think schools are teaching kids terrible stuff now. So a lot of people say, oh, they're bad. They killed all these people. Look at what they did. I mean, every religion has killed people. But here's the thing. So people say, oh, the Spanish Inquisition, that's actually so terrible. Millions of people were murdered. I don't think people have any idea. Do you guys know how many people were killed during the entirety of the Spanish Inquisition? So that's 250 years. I bet a lot of people who are saying that the Spanish Inquisition was a genocide, they don't even know the time period of when that happened. And also, so over the course of 250 years, roughly 3,000 people were killed. So that's one death per month. Okay, one death per month. And people want to blame the Christians. I mean, that's not exactly a genocide. So yeah, I think it's very important to actually learn about what happened. So it's just a lot of people, they're just 100% clueless nowadays. And even people in Canada, for example, you ask them, do you know what happened to the Quebec referendum? A lot of people have no idea. Do you guys know back in 93? So Quebec, so the second most populous province in Canada, it almost separated from Canada entirely. So the Quebecers, they ended up getting 49.6% of the vote. The only reason why Quebec did not separate is because a government of Canada, they sent a bunch of people from Ontario and the Maritimes into Quebec, and they had become residents just in time to cast their vote. Or if the government didn't do that, Quebec would have easily gotten the majority. They would have separated. A lot of people don't even know that. Yeah, like Canada was this close to becoming basically two countries, and where Quebec would become a completely separate entity from the rest of Canada. So yeah, this is what I mean. You need, I don't necessarily mean a piece of paper, not a degree or a diploma or a certificate, but you need, like, listen up here, always learning. And that's why the one guy, Charlie Kirk, even though I don't always agree with him on all his points, but one thing I do respect about him is that he says that he reads something like 15 to 20 books a month. Yeah, you need the knowledge up here. I mean, that guy, he has never been to college or university. He says it's a scam, which I think he's 50% correct about that. So yeah, you need knowledge up here. But nowadays, man, these schools, they're pumping out the R word, like hard R. A lot of people have absolute zero idea. Like, I posted that video about that one girl who graduated from high school in Connecticut, right? And she's unable to read. Understand, I did research. She has some kind of learning disability. Well, I'm sorry, it's very unfortunate for you to say, but it's very unfortunate, but I have to tell you the truth. If you're really one of those people, you have a severe learning disability, you should not be in university. That's just like me. Oh, you know what? I feel like I should play like center for the LA Lakers. I feel like, I can be the best NBA player in the world. I want my, 2 years, $100 million contract because, yeah, I have an athletic ability. I can't really jump. I can't really shoot or dribble, but I feel like I deserve that spot. Imagine, Adam Silver's like, oh, yeah, you can be a DEI hire. We don't have any Asian guys in the NBA. You can play a center for the LA Lakers. So, and also what I've noticed in 6 years, 2 years of college, 4 years of university, so many students, well, I'm looking at my phone right now. So, so this is what I mean. A lot of times, almost every single class in university, you have to do a presentation at some point. Sometimes you have to do 2 or 3. One of them, my longest presentation was 30 minutes, solo, right? I went up there, obviously I had notes written down, I had PowerPoints prepared, but I never ever look at my notes. If you cannot do that, you should not be in university. You should be able to do that probably in middle school, even before high school. Obviously, I'm not talking about just going up there impromptu with zero research, with absolutely no notes, with nothing, then just talk. Obviously, you have done your work, you have rehearsed, you have prepared. Once you go in front of the class, you got to be able to deliver it, just like this. I mean, I know a lot of you guys, well, I have a lot to say about Ben Shapiro as well. But if you look at people like Ben Shapiro or Charlie Kirk, do these people ever look at a teleprompter? No, they never have any notes. They just go up to any debates and they're ready. That's what you need. Like, you can't go in front of a classroom and be like, yeah, today I'm going to talk about the Quebec referendum in 1993. So yeah, this is what happened. And because these people, they speak French and they don't want to be part of Canada. So yeah, bro, so that's basically it. Yeah, something happened on July 1st in 1992. Yeah, almost every single university student, right? That's what I mean. Like a college degree or university degree is becoming worthless because you have AI, you have DeepSeek, you have ChatGPT. People use Chegg, people use Course Hero, and people use all kinds of stuff to cheat. It's easier than ever to cheat before, right? A lot of times, especially with remote classes, I've seen this personally. 5 or 6 students, they sit down in classroom and they write the exam together because when they open up the exam, it's the same questions. So there's very good chance, there's a 99% chance if there's 6 people sitting in that room, at least one person knows the answer to that one particular question. So they all end up getting like 95 to 100% on their exams. It's all cheating. So yeah, a lot of people, they can't even talk without actually reading from Britannica or Wikipedia article or the National Geographic anymore. You got to be able to deliver with absolutely nothing. And it's very, very sad. It's just like what the Unabomber said, right? The Industrial Revolution and its consequences has been a total disaster for the human civilization. 100% disaster. Too much technology takes too much away from people because people stop thinking critically. They just look up something. Anytime they think about Hitler or Joseph Stalin, they just Google and say, oh, they look at Wikipedia. They say, oh, so that's Joseph Stalin. But I mean, at the end of the day, they actually know zero. They know nothing about Joseph Stalin, right? It takes years of research and knowledge, reading books, watching movies, watching full-length documentaries to truly understand what really happened, what led to Lenin, what led to the Bolsheviks, the April thesis, and what led to the rise of communism in China. This is what I mean. People are just in that aspect, I think I would say 90% of the university graduates today, they're all 100% failures because they can't even deliver a simple presentation without staring at their phone screen 100% of the time. They never even look at their profs or their classmates, and because they have zero memory, zero. There's nothing up here. Okay, there's another super chat. Okay, thank you, Journey and Trials and Joy. So, as a Christian, yes, we needed to fight to bring back our faith. Secularism has destroyed Western world. Yes, we are 100% correct. Thank you, Journey, Trials, and Joy, for $5. More and more churches have shut down. A part of it, I will say this. Okay, this is, a lot of you guys might think it's controversial. I'm getting behind on some of these comments. I'll get to them later. So thank you once again, Journey, Trials, and Joy. Thank you for $10 now. Bringing back the church, right? Who has been burning down all the churches in Canada? It's the native aboriginals. That's the one thing I'm against the universities. And I think a lot of middle schools, high schools, and primary schools are doing this now. So at the start of every single class, at the start of every single lecture, the first slide, the professor's like, we have to acknowledge our land of this belongs to the Algonquin people or the Inuits or the Métis people. I mean, first of all, I have a lot to say on this. People might think it's controversial. I understand. In the past, yes, white people did some crazy stuff. I'll mention this. I'll release a full-length documentary on China's century of humiliation. So that's going to be released on July 4th on Independence Day, because I think America is headed for their own century of humiliation. So, yeah, I mean, sure, okay. White people, right, hundreds of years ago, they did crazy stuff. They went to the native Australians. They went to New Zealand. They went to Canada. It's true. And yes, I agree. Some Aboriginals, they were brutally massacred. Okay, they were subjugated. But why were white people able to do that? You have to be honest with yourselves. The white people, they were able to do that to the native Aboriginals because they were better. Yeah. I can say that because, well, I'm Chinese. If a straight white male said that, he would get canceled everywhere. He would get fired from his job, right? So, I mean, look, if you actually study history, if you know what happened to Native America before the Europeans arrived, right, hundreds of years ago, they were one of the most vicious, they were one of the most violent, they were one of the most misogynistic tribes on earth. That's why they were so behind. That's why Christopher Columbus said, just bring me 50 men from Europe and we can conquer all of North America with just the 50 men. They were so behind because even nowadays, especially, let's say if you live in Northern Ontario, if you visited the native reserves, you'll know how bad it is. You'll know how badly they treat women, especially to the female profs who are supporting this. Yeah, they massacre women every single day. It's very normal for an Aboriginal woman that's living in one of those remote communities in Northern Ontario, in Manitoba, in BC, in Alberta. It's very normal for them to be walking on their way to work and they'll get raped twice before work. And after they get off work, they get raped 3 more times. Yeah, that's how they treat women in North America. That's why they were so behind, the native tribes, because they were shooting those poison needles or brutally massacring each other versus actually trying to build a civilization. Do you know one of the most dangerous highways in the world? Highway 7. Look up Highway 7 in British Columbia. This is not a propaganda. One of the most dangerous highways in the world because every year hundreds, possibly thousands of Aboriginal women go missing from Highway 7 because they get kidnapped, they get brutally tortured, raped, and murdered by Indigenous Aboriginal men. That's what they do to their own women. So that's why they were colonized by the Americans. Well, not the Americans, but first by the British, and then that's how they lost their land. So I have an issue with schools trying to acknowledge their culture. But once again, it has nothing to do with race or religion. It's part of your culture. And a lot of the practices, even the natives, what they're doing today is absolutely sick. Just look at how they treat women. Like the amount of sexual assault that happens on these native reserves is crime against humanity. It's just it is probably I would say one of the most misogynistic cultures on earth. 10 times worse than the Middle East, I would say. Let me move that comment. Okay, there's another super thank you. Oh, thank you, Ayebo, for 10. Is that 10 pounds or 10 euros? Okay, 10 euros. I think it's okay. Thank you so much. I moved to Thailand. Many bros, many boys from China live here. The whole world is done. Dating is easy, but if you find educated woman with money here, or else you'll be pay pig. What's your opinion? Okay, thank you for the 10 euros. So yeah, I've been to Thailand a couple times. I agree. Now, the world with technology and social media, I see a lot of these women from Southeast Asia. When you come here, the first thing they say is, oh, no money, no honey. Yeah, basically, I agree. You're just a pay pig. You're just the ATM machine to them. If you have money, they'll suck your dick. And if you don't have money, then that's it. Yeah, and you can get the F out. So, yeah, the dating situation is terrible everywhere now. And I believe Thailand has like 10 million Chinese people. A lot of those Chinese people, they're not immigrants. Like they fled China as refugees over the course of centuries. And Thailand is more welcoming versus countries like Indonesia and Malaysia, who are basically expelling the Chinese because they're Muslim countries. They don't want Chinese people there. So Thailand just kind of accepted all the Chinese people. Yeah, especially in Chiang Mai. So Thailand's second largest city in the north. I heard in that city there's like 1 million Chinese people. Yeah, it's honestly, for everybody it's different, but I don't think necessarily if you move there things are going to be better. Understand a lot of Chinese men are moving to Thailand as well because they think the dating game will be easier. By the end of the day, the most important thing is that you have to have money. If you don't have money, it's nothing. No money, no honey. So yeah, it's getting very, very bad everywhere, especially now in Southeast Asia, because now they have access to all of these foreign men who are making six figures, right? And then they move to these countries in Southeast Asia. Now you gotta compete with these men. So yeah, I mean, let me read the whole question. The whole world is done. Dating here is easy. Find educated. Yeah, I would say, I think I support the movement of some guys who are saying that men going their own way. If you're finding it extremely difficult, and then you just just be happy on your own. Just go live in a cabin in the woods or something. It's better to have inner peace, because I can't imagine, like, if I was no, I'm just saying, if I was actually married to one of the women from my previous generation, like my mom, my aunts, my grandmother, all those people, like if I was actually, let's set up into an arranged marriage, and if I was, stuck in that kind of marriage, honestly, I would kill myself. I like just the screaming, like, and no, it's bad. I'm not even exaggerating. It's extremely rare to see men do that. I understand, obviously, I have conflict. I've had run into issues with men. But I think what happens is, if men actually acted like that, like, you're guaranteed to get a black eye. You're guaranteed to get your tooth knocked out. A lot of women do that because they don't have consequences. Just the screaming, like the banshee screaming enough, I think that's why men die faster. Because they can't handle the screaming. It makes them want to kill themselves. Yeah, it's just terrible. So, if you're one of those people, you've just had enough, you think, man going your own way is the choice to go, and maybe that's the right choice. So, thank you, Ayebo. And hope things are working well for you in Thailand. Okay, I'm getting behind on the comments. I'll try to read some more of the comments. But yeah, I covered a lot of stuff. One plane from India, though. Yeah, that's crazy. The one guy who survived, seat 11A. They need to make that into a movie. Well, I guess they will need to change the storyline a little bit, because the victims of the family, obviously, this a little bit sensitive there. But, like, I'm trying to think, like, what are the chances of that guy surviving? And also, there was another girl. You see what happened? There's a young girl, like, in her 20s. She missed the flight by, like, 10 minutes. Yeah, because she was stuck in traffic or something, I think. Yeah, just imagine. At first, like, how pissed off she was to miss her flight. Then to find out, just the whole plane blew up. So, yeah, that's actually, so I think it's the new movie coming out, Final Destination Bloodlines. I've seen the first 5. Do you guys know the storyline that inspired the first movie? It's actually based on a real life event. The first Final Destination. Remember that girl? I only watched the movie because that one girl, Ali Larter, I think, yeah. Holy shit, she used to be like the hottest woman on earth, like back in 2000. She's so like gorgeous, 10 out of 10, like 1 in a million. So I think that's why the movie was so popular. So the first movie, I think, was back in 1979, the real story, Final Destination, that inspired that movie. So there was a team from, I believe, Indiana. Yeah, from a small town in Indiana, and they boarded the flight for a basketball tournament to like a different state. And so what happened was one guy, I think he was sick or something. He had to go to the hospital, so he missed the team flight. And obviously the plane it blew up or something. It crashed. So everybody on that plane died except for that one guy who was sick on the basketball team. He couldn't make it due to illness. Then I think 1 week later he died in a car crash. You can try to look up the real story. I don't have all the details. It was either 1979 or 1980. So yeah, so that's that's the real life story. How crazy is that? He missed that flight, and then the plane goes down. Then he dies in a car accident 1 week later. So maybe the Grim Reaper is real. Like nobody can escape death. So let me read more of these comments. Yeah, I'm getting behind on these comments, so let me actually try to read some of these. I think there's a few more super chats. Okay, yeah, thank you for 279 Canadian Manny Kwaku. It's the Case Island. Maybe it's Maniwaku. So Canada is cooked. I'm leaving here in 3 years. I agree, man. Canada used to be so much better. Like I said, the small town I used to live in, the white neighbors, they worked at a small printing factory. Not even a factory, like a shop. So two of them and four other guys, just six people. They work at a printing factory. They only worked 40 hours a week, like a 8 to 4:30 Monday to Friday thing, and they can afford to buy a big house. And I think they paid off their mortgage in like 10 years. By the time they were 35, they were debt free. They own a cottage home, they own a family van, they own their own sedan, and they could afford to send both their girls to a university, and both their daughters are married. So just two average people working at a printing factory, making probably not even the average income, and they can afford to own a nice and big homes. That's how much Canada has fallen. Young people are screwed. So yeah, there's a few more super chats. Yeah, oh, okay, that's the Geotouch Blade. Yeah, so once again, those interviews, hopefully September. I'll try to do my best. Once again, hope you guys are understanding. I'm hoping next September, that's the goal. I will quit and try to do this videos full time because I really want to grow the channel, but I need more people to join, to actually have a conversation. So yeah, but it's just right now my situation with the line of credit, the 9.9% interest rate. I got to work as much as I can to try to pay that back. So yeah, I will have some interviews starting coming out in September, and yeah, I'll do my best, and hopefully maybe next fall I have like actually sit down like coffee break interviews with other Chinese people in China. So yeah, it's getting there. John, do you like black men? You talk about them a lot. No, I don't have a obsession with black men. That's kind of, well, I don't know what you mean. Are you saying like I'm gay or something? No, I'm not gay. But I mean, if that's what you're into, so, but it's definitely not my thing. I wouldn't want to get drilled behind by like Don Lemon or something. So you talked about them a lot. No, sometimes it's just, it picks up on the algorithm for some reason. So sometimes I just follow up on the topic. It's I try to do whatever helps me, because I just posted a 30-minute video talking about Chinese history, and it was one of my worst performing videos ever. I think I lost like, just from that one video, I lost like 10 subscribers. So it's very difficult. Like when I talk about the stuff, like people ask me, why don't you talk more about Chinese culture and history? When I talk about it, nobody watches them, and the video performs terribly. And it's just sometimes it's because of the algorithm. But like I don't have an obsession with black men. But I will have to. But I will have to say this: excuse me, I need to blow my nose. A lot of Chinese men, they do say this. They say, no, I'm serious. They don't want to go on video and actually admit it. They do say that like the black man is actually bigger. That's why some of these white women, they go after them. So, by the way, there's actually a term. So not like snow bunny, understand. But you guys know what they call them? Like those rich black men, like the black NBA and NFL players who are like, bouncing around all of these white women. They're called winter soldiers. Yes, have you heard of that term? So what is a winter soldier? Winter soldier is basically, you know how white woman's like a snow bunny? So what happens when you surround yourself with a bunch of snow bunnies? You get hit with an avalanche. So avalanche, right? They happen during winter when there's a lot of snow. So those black men are called winter soldiers. Like Jimmy Fox. Yeah, Jimmy Fox is probably a winter soldier for sure. I think he's, how many white women has he been with? Like probably like 100 or something. So yeah. No, so John, I'm not particularly That's a weird question. No, I'm not into. No, it's just people are like, see, they focus on one thing. Obviously, my videos I talk a lot about white people, but nobody ever says anything. Then it says that I talk about black men for one video. They say, "Oh, why are you so obsessed with blacks?" I also talk a lot about Indians. I also posted a 27-minute video on like Asians. I also posted a 33-minute video on Chinese immigrants. So like I talk about everybody. So it's just people focus on the weird stuff. So. Let me see. Video was kind of boring, to be honest. Sir King Cow. Are you talking about which video? Like the 27-minute video on Asians? Okay, I'm not sure. So, well, thank you. You're a channel member, Sir King Cow. I wish your Chinese history videos did better. I really like them. Oh, thank you. So, but yeah, I'll try my best to try to make it work. But sometimes maybe the algorithm just doesn't like it. The algorithm seems to prefer like interracial dating videos more. So small PP history. Okay. Bro verbally slapped a goofy on his head. What? Okay, you need better video editing. I don't know. Are you talking about that 30-minute video? I had a different version, but nowadays it's very difficult. Like, for example, I don't know how a lot of people, where they do videos of they just keep reacting to other people's videos. Like that guy, Uncle Roger. I think half of these videos are fraud because it's just copyright. So I originally uploaded a different version. Then right after I uploaded it, the video got copyrighted. So I had to take down that video and basically redo everything. So nowadays it's very difficult. Sometimes I would like to take some stuff from like clips from like, let's say, National Geographic or something to try to make my video better. But sometimes I can't because, yeah, the copyright is very severe, especially, you know, which channel is really bad? Olympics. Because even if you just use like 5 or 10 seconds clip from like the Olympics, they'll copyright strike your channel and you get suspended for a week. So yeah, that's one major issue I'm having. That's why I don't like to react to other people's videos, because you never know. One guy could just feel really weird about it. He could copyright my video gets taken down. So thank you. Okay, ML. Oh, thank you. Thank you for becoming a channel member. So yes, some of my sometimes it's just yeah, the copyright issue. I'm having a massive problem with copyright. So thank you for becoming a channel member. And wait, how do I? Let me get back. Okay. Okay, ML. Do you think the Jews control the world? No. I don't know. Are you like a hardcore follower of Candace Owens? Some of her posts on social media, especially on X. I mean, she's pretty big now. I think she has what, like 6 million followers on X, like 5.6 million maybe. I haven't checked lately. I haven't been watching her lately. Some of the stuff she says is a little bit questionable. I think she's starting to. I think once people start to get a little bit of fame, once they start to make a lot of money, they kind of go off the rails. She's saying U.S. is a colony of Israel. I don't think the Jews control the world, man. But if that's what you think. But also one thing, a lot of people get triggered when I say this. Okay, I think Ben Shapiro has a lot of problems. By the end of the day, Jew is a religion. I would say vast majority of the Jews, I will classify them as the white people. Okay, well, a lot of people get triggered, but I'm just saying, what you want to say? Ben Shapiro is an Arab guy or a black guy? I mean, Ben Shapiro is clearly a white man. If you look at Trump's family, right? Trump's his daughter Ivanka Trump, she's a Jew. Like, what you want to say, Ivanka Trump is a brown or Arab or it's just I understand there's a small percentage of Jewish people are also black, like the Ethiopian and the Eritrean Jews, but it's a religion, and no, I don't think they control the world. But some people, you gotta be careful about people who are like you're following. Like what's that guy's name? Nick Fuentes. Am I saying that correctly? Yeah, like some of the stuff he says is very, very questionable. And also like well, like I understand people like Charlie Kirk. I think he's way too pro-Israel. I have nothing against the Israel. Like they look, I don't think the United States should be sending money. So $3.3 billion a year, that's $9 million a day to the Israel. I don't think they should be doing that. I think, you know, the United States should be able to defend itself, and that they should not. Also, I think NATO should be disbanded. And also like whatever Israel is doing to Iran, like they can do whatever the hell they want to. They can go to war with any Middle Eastern country for all I care. But the United States should not be sending any troops to the Middle East to help Israel. Nor should it be the other way around, right? If Iran decides to go to all war with Israel, and the United States should not be obviously supporting Iran either. They can do whatever they want to. But it's people are very hypocritical. For example, someone say, "Oh, Jews are the problem," but then they all say, and then I tell people, okay, so there are 2 million people, 2 million Palestinians in the Middle East. Why don't we help them? Why don't we welcome all 2 million Palestinians into the United States? Just have them as your neighbors. They're like, "Oh, the Muslims are bad. They're terrible. Oh, Islam. This is a relation. This is a religion of hatred. This is a terrible religion. They're full of death. They're full of violence. These people, they're not compatible with our culture. So like, you want to hate on the Jews and you want to hate on the Muslims. So it's just people are very just. That's why I don't agree with diversity. I think everybody should be. It's better when you're separated because this is what happens. But you have to also realize, I understand. Well, Bibi Netanyahu needs to go 100%. I do agree. I understand a lot over the course of the last couple of years. There has been a lot of negative views on Israel. But here's the thing: if Israel, let's say if Bibi Netanyahu is gone, and let's say if the next guy comes in and he wants to completely how do you say denuclearize Israel? Let's say he wants to demilitarize the entire country. He says that Israel, we should lay down all of our weapons. If Israel lay down all of their weapons, they will be instantly obliterated by their neighbors. So, I mean, yeah, there's never going to be peace in the Middle East. So, yeah, it's not an easy situation, but I think people nowadays, even Candace Owens, sometimes the stuff they say is a little bit questionable. But once again, I do think people like Charlie Kirk, it's both sides. Charlie Kirk is way too pro-Israel, and it's very questionable because I think Charlie Kirk is actually a very smart young man. Well, I say that I'm actually 1 year older than him, but the stuff he says about Israel is a little bit questionable. So no, I'm neutral. I think whatever they want to do, it should be their own business. Same thing with Ukraine. The United States should not be sending any more money to Ukraine, right? It's just whatever happens between Russia and Ukraine, the European Union, they got to sort that them out. They got sorted out themselves. The America should not be interfering with all these other countries. Regarding statistics on peace size, I saw doctors measuring difference. It's very little. It's like 1/4 of an inch between different races. It goes from black to white to Asian. Oh, so Misha TL. Well, I'm not sure where you got that study. Well, I don't even know because like I'm getting off topic. It's talking about like the penis size thing. So if you actually Google it, according to Google, like the study they did, the country with the largest, the longest third leg, whatever you want to call it, it's Ecuador. They say Ecuador, the average, basically the average length in Ecuador is 6.7 inches. Like how would they know? Because like you can't just measure like 20 guys and you just say, oh, that's like the average for the whole country. I think there needs to be a massive sample size. You probably need to go to each country and measure at least like 20,000 men or 10,000 to get bigger enough sample size. So that stuff, that study is questionable. So I don't know. I've also looked at those studies, but yeah, if according to those countries, if you look at the Asian countries like China or Thailand, Philippines, like Japan, India, Pakistan, according to those charts, like those Asians and Indians have the smallest. But once again, I don't know. I think there needs to be a global thing where they actually need to measure at least 20,000 men from each country to get big enough sample size. And I don't know how Ecuador could be number one, honestly. Like 6.7 inches for Ecuador? Like really? Maybe it's something in the water. Maybe there's their diet or something. So that's a shame. Okay, let me. Why did you move to Canada and not the US? Oh, thank you, ML, once again. So well, I didn't have a choice. So it was my stepmom. She moved to Canada first. Then she brought my sister and my dad to Canada first, and I came to Canada a few years later to join them. But unfortunately, they kicked me out a couple years later, so I've been on my own. So I think my stepmom, she chose Canada because she felt like Canada would be safer. Well, I will just say this. My family is very crazy. They're very racist. The reason why she wanted to move to Canada like 25 years ago was because she thinks that there's way too many black people in the US. She knows there's black people in Canada as well, but not as much. So she wants to stay away from black people. That's why she chose to live in a small town where over 90% of the population are white. I'm just seeing once again, I want to be honest with the audience. But that was back then. Canada is over now, man. It's full of immigrants now. So okay, there's another super chat, ML. Okay, thank you for $5. How much to make anti-Semitic contents on other video platforms? How much to make? Are you talking about that guy Nick Fuentes? Yeah, that guy is questionable, man. Half of the stuff, because nowadays people can say anything, so you gotta be very, very careful. Even a lot of stuff about China, what they're saying is just 100% not true. So Candace Owens, I mean, I don't know. If I have the chance to one day sit down and actually talk to her, I would like to ask her because, yeah, I don't know what the hell is getting to her head. A lot of stuff they say is very, very questionable. Once again, I have nothing against Israel, but I also don't think the United States should be donating the money to them. I also don't think, obviously, the United States should be interfering at all between anything that happens in the Middle East. If Israel and Iran, if they want to destroy themselves, then go ahead. So, yeah, just be very careful about the stuff you see on the internet nowadays, because who knows, man, everything could be fake. For example, right, you see a beautiful Chinese girl, you think, oh my god, it's the most beautiful woman in the world. Then she takes the beauty filter off, and then she looks like a freaking I don't know, she looks like a Whoopi Goldberg or something. So turns out that she's actually an old black woman instead of an 18-year-old Chinese girl. Now it's like nowadays there's so much fake stuff on the internet. So Charles SB, they control the world, bro. You're talking about Jewish people? Well, I don't think that's true, but I don't know. Once again, a lot of people have been consuming some weird stuff on the internet. So, I mean, for example, if you live in China, China is clearly controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. So, it depends on where you're coming up with this stuff. So, you missed my 2 previous super chats, Sir King Cal. Did I miss it? Sorry, I gotta let me just go back. I've been missing because all the chats should show up right here. Okay, yeah. I'll try to focus on the super chats more, but I'll try to go scroll through the comments. Okay, Sir King Cal, thank you for the €2. €2, I think. Yeah, you should make a Discord server for the community. No, I don't use Discord. I didn't like the thing. I had it for the university, for the study groups. I just didn't work out very well for me, for just a terrible thing. And I'm sorry to say, I had to delete my email. I used to have an email on there, and I had to block some people as well, because they keep sending me a bunch of really, really inappropriate stuff. Like one guy, he was telling me, for example, he said he was stuck in Hong Kong. He needs to get me to get him extradited because he works for the CIA or something, and he's been arrested for like the Chinese Communist Party. And I need to like basically write a letter to free him. So that's the issue nowadays, because I keep getting all these trolls. So, out of, every 10 email I get, 8 or 9 of them are completely trolls instead of people who are genuinely interested, who actually, wants to have a conversation or something. So, yeah, I'll think about something for the future. Yeah. Maybe I'll just try to do more live more often, but it's very difficult with my work schedule right now. Let me just go back on some of these comments. So, okay. ML, do you consider yourself a Chad? No, I don't consider myself a Chad. I think I'm below average. I would say I'm probably like a 3 out of 10, to be honest. So that's my honest opinion. Black man shouldn't even be on radar. We are the ones taking your woman. What? No, I'm just trying to cover every single aspect, man. If you actually follow all my videos, I would say I probably talk about white people more. It's just people try to focus on that, 1 or 2 video. Yeah, it's just, I'm not obsessed with black people. I talk about everybody. So, Nick Fuentes is indeed the leader of the KKK. I don't know. That guy has issues, man. So if you've been watching too much of his content, I'd be very careful. Like, because a lot of people are spewing lies out there. It's just 100% not true. So, why do you not have anything against Israel? See, that's also, here's also the thing, right? A lot of people, I would say 80% of the people in the West, they have this anti-China thing. They hate China so bad. They say China is bad. Chinese Communist Party is bad. Oh, Xi is bad. All this stuff, right? Do you know what China has, ever since October 7th, right? China has made it 100% crystal clear. China is in 100% support of the Palestinians and all the Muslims in the Middle East. China has made it 100% clear that they're absolutely against Israel and what they're doing. And there must be a 2-state solution. And, Bibi Netanyahu has got to go off that stuff. So you guys are a bunch of hypocrites, right? You guys say, oh, you hate Israel so bad. And China comes out, right, 100% crystal clear, says that, oh, we hate Israel. We want to support the Muslims in the Middle East. And then you guys hate China as well. Like, gotta, just make up your mind. Think clearly. Like, what do you want? It's like the same thing. If you hate Israel so bad, right? And then the Palestinians say that, oh, they want to come in. Why don't you take us into America? There's 2 million of us. We're getting, murdered by Israel. They're committing genocide. Then you say, oh my God, Muslims are bad. They're not compatible with our culture. We don't want the Quran here. We don't want the Prophet here. We don't want these Muslims. So it's like, oh, you hate the Jews and you also hate the Muslims. So it's it's one of those things. It doesn't matter what you say. It's just like, whether if you support Trump or Kamala Harris, it doesn't matter which side you should support. You have to remember Kamala Harris, she also got 75 million votes by the popular vote. I understand the electoral college was a landslide, but if you look at the popular vote, it was only 2 million vote difference. So it doesn't matter which side you take, half the people are still going to hate you. So no, I mean, obviously, I don't think Israel has a lot of issues. I would never live or visit there, but I'm neutral. They can do whatever they want once again. But whatever happens between them and the rest of the countries, no country should interfere, right? Whatever, just let them duke it out. So I mean, Israel has a very powerful military, and they're nuclearized. So just let them fight it out. Like China, Russia, obviously United States, UK, Canada, we should not be interfering at all. Zero interference. Just let them duke it out. That is immortal. Israel's like that girlfriend starting fights with other men. Okay, but thank you for that comment. Well, yeah, well, I mean, yes, they do have issues, but what are you gonna do, man? The world is not perfect. Facts, multiculturalism sucks. Yeah, wait, you believe in tribalism? No, I don't believe in tribalism. Bro, what's a creamy caboose? So that's the pink snapping turtle. You know what pink snapping turtle means, right? So that's what that is. My BBC friend won't let me get some. What? John Doe? Okay. Charlie Kirk is lobbied by APAC. Yeah, I'm a little bit... See, Adam, I think you have a point there. So Charlie Kirk is very wealthy, right? He probably makes a few $1 million a year. So yeah, I think he talks about really, really good stuff. But every time in the debate, when he talks about Israel, he's just like, he puts them like right up here. Like, oh, they're so much better than everybody else, and United States should be donating more money to Israel. So I think it's possible. Maybe there's money behind it, like RFK Jr., right? Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He makes a lot of good points, but every time he talks about Israel, it's like, oh, Israel's all the way up here. So I think part of that could be true. They could be getting paid. Like, maybe he's getting a couple $1 million a year. So who knows? That's why nowadays it's difficult to trust anybody now. That's why, look at that celebrity, right? I used to respect him so much more, but nowadays, not so much. Like The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, because every time you get to political, right? Anytime you talk about Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, like liberals, Democrats, conservatives, all that stuff, he's like, oh, I gotta be really careful. I don't know if I want to do this interview. I can't answer that question because there's money involved. I think The Rock is just... He sold his soul to the devil. He's so afraid of, even though despite how much money does he have? Like 200 million, could be more, right? But he's so scared all the time to actually say what he really wants to say, because he knows there's money involved on both sides. And if he says the wrong stuff, he could lose like millions in sponsorships. So he says a lot of stuff. Either he just avoids the question, or he just says a bunch of fake stuff to make sure he doesn't lose any money. So yeah, I think that's possibly one aspect. There's a lot of money involved. Yeah. And because of that, honestly, I did lose all respect for The Rock, because he's so afraid to say anything anymore. Oligarchs and their aristocracy and money is the problem. Jews are just overrepresented in relation to share of the global population. 80% of non-Jews, and with 60% Western Christian background. Once again, a lot of people, like especially white people, wanted to say this, but the vast majority of well, I mean, there could be Chinese Jews, and it's possible. The vast majority of people, like Ben Shapiro, Ben Shapiro is a white guy. I mean, whether you want to say he's Arab or something, I mean, I understand in Africa there's a small number of Jews as well, but overall it is a religion. It's not an ethnicity of people, and most of them are white people, and with the exception of the the Ethiopian Jews, some of them are black. So. And if you still disagree, look at Trump's daughter, Ivanka Trump, right? She's pretty much she's like the poster child for white women. She's as white as it gets. She's Jewish. So, to the white people who are saying that Jews are the problem, like you're basically saying that like the white people are the problem. So, crazy critters, keep the 100% realness and honesty going. Thank you so much. I think that's the old chat. I missed some of the chats. Let me go back to some of the old. Yes. Okay. Thank you for the 279. Young, 12 easy, 279 Canadian. So Canada is a third world country. So yeah, it's getting there very, very fast. Yeah, it's being overrun by mass immigration and refugees. And it's, yeah, Canada, give it another 10 years. Like a civil war is going to break out, and then all hell is going to break loose, man. Like if you can't afford to, I would say get out of here. And if you have to stay in Canada, probably the last hope for Canada is move to Alberta. Probably the last hope for Canada, I would say. Yeah, so maybe that's going to be the new independent country. It's going to be a referendum in Alberta, just like what happened to Quebec. And maybe they'll separate from Canada because, yeah, woke ideology is taking over. Well, with the exception of Alberta. Alberta is like Florida of the United States, and maybe it needs to be separated. What about, okay, let me read. What about fentanyl prosecutors sent to US and Canada from China? Crop fungus from international student. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think how the hell that happened. I don't know exactly what happened. And also that Chinese student, like her boyfriend was like allowed to go back to China. Once again, I don't know all the politics, but yeah, that's very, very questionable. So I don't know, man. So I don't know everything. Once again, if I don't know something, I'm not going to try to sound like a smart ass and just making myself look dumb. So stop obsessing over size. Okay, man, thanks. But I'm just saying, man, okay, I won't follow up too much. Stop obsessing with size. Size matters. But I mean, Kevin Samuels has always said this. No, look up Kevin Samuels. He says that in some of his live streams. He's a 6'4" black man, right? And he says that he has a huge dick. And he talks to other black men on his live calls. He says that if you have a huge dick, it's a major advantage in the dating world. So don't follow people, follow the cash. It will lead you to the truth. Did a video about it. Well, so is your degree? No, my degree is in Bachelor of Commerce. Commerce is business. Yeah, basically Bachelor of Commerce. Stop watching porn. Okay, okay, bro. Thank you. Why are tall Asians usually managers? Is that a black pill? No, I don't think that's necessarily true. Is that really true? So no, I'm not sure 100%. So let me see. I like probably open Pandora's box. My bad, bro. What about the Uyghurs then? Like the Muslims in China? Once again, like a lot of people are watching fake stuff from the West. They say that the China has like 1 million Muslims locked up. I don't even know where they get that number. And also, the ones who are locked up, right? Once again, this is the people who are saying that, oh, why are you like, not against Israel? But also, you have to remember, look at their neighbors, right? So I mean, some Muslims are probably locked up in China. The ones who are locked up are trouble. And that's why I'm saying, when I talk about the Western becoming secular, I'm talking about bringing back the church, the Judeo-Christian values. Once again, so the Torah. I understand there's Zionism, but there's also Judaism, okay? So Judaism then branched out to Christianity, right? They're 100% connected. The Torah and the Bible, they're 100% connected. And so if you go to the Chinese city of Xi'an, which has been around for over 4,000 years, there are a lot of Muslims in that city. So most of them are ethnic Hui. They're called Huizu. They look just like me. If it wasn't for their outfit, you wouldn't be able to know they're Muslims. Obviously, they don't eat pork. They read the Quran, and they go to the mosque, and they pray, and their prophet is the Allah. They live 100% normal life. They have no problem at all. Like most of them, they own their own small businesses. If you go to the Chinese city of Xi'an, which is the second most visited city in China, you see lots of them. They live just fine. But the ones who do end up getting locked up is because they're trouble. Because have you guys ever heard a Christian guy say Christ is king, then blows himself up? I have never ever seen that. But every time one of these terrorist attack happens, they're always shouting that phrase. I'm not sure you guys know what I'm talking about. Like they're always shouting Allahu Akbar, which I mean there's something wrong with the culture. Because the ethnic Hui people, they're also Muslims, they're ethnic Asians. There's no issues at all. But every time I'll give you another example. Singapore, one of the most wealthiest nations on earth, right? I don't even think Islam is the issue. I think it's the culture with people living in the Middle East. For example, Singapore has a massive Muslim population. It's got to be 20%. One of the wealthiest nations on earth of 6 million people. They have zero terrorist attacks. They have no problems. A country with 20% Muslim population could possibly be higher, right? They live just fine. Look at Indonesia. Indonesia has about, I think, 250 million Muslims, right? If you go to Indonesia, 250 million Muslims, the country is functioning normally. There doesn't seem to be an issue at all. But the Muslims who do get locked up, it's because they're causing trouble. That's why look at what's happening to the Palestinians. How come the Egyptians? How come they won't open up their border? How come Lebanon? How come Yemen? How come Iran? How come they won't open up their borders to the Palestinians? Because a large number of them are trouble. That's why you have to understand why Israel is acting like that. That's why I don't think Israel is the number one problem, because I think it's a problem of culture. There's a lot of problems in the Middle East. Understand, obviously, some of it has to do with the military-industrial complex and whatever you want to call this. The Americans, their goal for primacy or global hegemony. Yes, part of it, but it's a big problem. Look at the UK. So the UK has a very extensive list of the most dangerous criminals in the UK, right? So if you look at the UK demographics right now, as of now, it's 6% Muslim, 6%, okay? If you look at the UK's list, you can search up the list, over 4,000 people, the most dangerous people in the UK. These are classified as terrorists. Once again, these people are living in the UK, 4,000 of them, 95% Muslim. So, I mean, I'm not trying to be, Islamophobe. I'm not trying to stir up controversy. I'm just saying that, like, there's a problem, okay? They're in the community, and I think people need to actually have an open debate and talk about it, because something terrible is happening. Is it because it's not compatible with Western culture? So how come, 4,000 of the most violent criminals in the UK, 95% is Muslim? So there's a huge issue. That's why some of them are being locked up in China, because they're causing trouble. And the Western media is using it as propaganda. They're saying that China is committing genocide. No, it's because they're causing trouble. So, yeah. Once again, that's why, I don't think, I understand Israel has a lot of issues, but still, they can't just lay down their weapons. If they lay down their weapons, they will be obliterated. So that's why there's no easy solution to this. Plage knowledge and more knowledge. China doesn't like Muslim minority. That's why, once again, FB, you're 100% wrong. In my hometown in Jilin, so 3.6 million people in my city, there's a massive, huge mosque. One of the biggest I've ever seen. Is blue colored, right? You see the Islam symbol, you see the Islam flag, and there's people praying there every single day. But to those, once again, those are not Uyghur Muslims. Those Muslims, they look like me. They're ethnic Hui. They're called the Huizu Muslims. Yeah, they live 100% fine. They read. Yeah, they read the Quran, they follow the Sharia, then they follow the Prophet Muhammad, they pray every single day, and they go to work, everything is fine. Nothing happens to those Muslims. So what's happening to the Uyghurs? Because some of them are causing trouble. So yeah, like the West is just using as a fake propaganda. And once again, right, if you're American, you think Muslims are being treated so bad in China, why don't you take all of them in? So China, I believe, has 24 million Muslims. Yeah, so you feel bad about the Muslims, right? They're being prosecuted. Yeah, go ahead, 24 million, just to take them. Go to sanctuary cities, take them to LA, to Chicago, to Houston, to New York, to Boston, if you love them so much. So yeah, a lot of people are very, very hypocritical. So yeah, you'd be surprised. I believe China has something like, how many mosques in China? Yeah, 3,000. Sorry, I have to, let me look this up. How many mosques in China? This is why you guys are wrong. So if Muslims are actually being prosecuted 24/7, there will be 0 mosques in China. I think it's actually 3,000 in China. Yeah, the Muslims have no problem. Everybody's free to practice Islam. The ones who get locked up is because they cause trouble. So, oh, sorry, I was wrong. There we go. Yes, China has anywhere between 38,000 to 40,000 mosques. You heard that correctly. Upwards of 40,000 mosques, right? So, yeah, if Islam was actually being prosecuted in China, why would there be 40,000 mosques? So it's just people are just trying to stir up issue, making a fake propaganda. Yes, some are locked up, but those ones are trouble. Once again, if people actually solve the issue, there needs to be a conversation. For example, people in the UK needs to actually sit down and talk with the Muslim community. How come 4,000 of the most dangerous people in the UK is 6% Muslim? How come out of the 4,000, 95% is Muslim? That means there is an issue, and unless you are willing to sit down and have a dialogue, that's why you're going to have a civil war. So I think it's very important to have these conversations instead of just reading these fake stuff on the internet. So, what? I'm texting and driving, ML. Well, thank you for the $5, but please don't text and drive. That's terrible. I almost died donating and writing so much. That's how much I support you. Well, thank you, but don't text and drive, man. So that's very, very dangerous. Let me read some more of the comments. I'm getting behind. So, working at a liquor store, saw a Chinese rapper dude with a beautiful East LA girl. Well, good for him. Is he a real rapper or is just a rapper wannabe? Asian unifying Asians unifying is a fantasy. They hate each other more than other races. Maybe South Asians and unify? What? We can't let Muslims. Western propaganda. I have friends in Xinjiang that are living in prosperity compared to neighbors in Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan. Yeah. So yeah, just be careful with the stuff you watch on the internet. A lot of it's simply not true. Okay, I'll give you guys another example. You say, oh, Muslims locked up in China, right? So okay, look up every single American prison. How come, I would say probably what, 70%? Maybe 75 or 80% of the people locked up in American prisons are black men. The vast majority of them are young black men. I mean, China can say the same thing about the United States. They say that, oh, the US is the most racist country in the world because look at your prisons. How come your prison is like 70 to 80% young black men? Why are you lock up all these young black men? There you go. So you want to answer that question? This is why it's very important to actually sit down and have dialogue. So, and anybody that did, if they end up getting locked up, there must be a reason for it. These young black men are getting locked up because there's a massive issue. Sometimes it's not because of systemic racism, because there's a culture issue. Perhaps have you thought, look at these young black men. How many of these young black men were raised by a single mother? I think that's a good place to start, right? How many of these young black men they've never been to church? How many of these young black men that's getting locked up, they were born out of wedlock? I think that's a good place to start. So I think it's important to have these conversations, but you have to be very, very careful. But see, nowadays I think the Western nations are getting very, very bad at this. Just they're trying to always what do you call it, gaslight, trying to start something. Because I never see those videos in China. I never see it on Chinese social media or on Chinese news channel. They say that, oh, look at the American prison system. It's all blacks and Hispanics. Oh, they're so racist. I never see that from China. But it's the US, the Western countries that are always posting stuff like this. They say, oh, China is the worst country in the world. They're prosecuting all of their Muslims. It's always stuff like that. So yeah, you guys are the ones who are constantly trying to stir up something. And that's why I mentioned before, right? If you actually want world peace, you don't want World War III, right? You don't want to actually get sent to the Middle East and die for Israel. How about having China join NATO? Honestly, if China or Russia, just one of them joined NATO, sure, I think it should be disbanded. But if you're going to keep NATO, have China join NATO. You have world peace. That's it. That's the end of it. If either China or Russia joined NATO, there will be no more wars. Yeah, it's actually, no, it is that simple. Why can't China join NATO? Oh, because, China is the enemy. Why does China have to be the enemy? Like, why can't you just figure something out and meet a middle ground? Because it's very clear at this point, the Western nations, they don't want to. They always try to frame China as this, terrible, the most evil regime in the world. Oh, they're communists. They're so bad. This is like a Stalin. This is like Hitler's Germany. Everything is just so bad. Yeah, because I rarely see stuff like that about the U.S. coming out of China. But the U.S. is always trying to gaslight at this point. So, yeah. Let me follow up some of the comments. Okay, thought on the ongoing No Kings protest in LA. Yeah, that's what I mean. Sometimes, that's why I think the Chinese system is better. You'll never see protests like that in China, right? If you try to do stupid shit like that, like, you're done. You're getting a bullet through the head. There'll be no protest. Just look at what Ron DeSantis is saying in Florida, right? Same with the police chief in Florida. Yeah, if you try to start some stuff, right, where the car's going to run you over, you're not going to be blocking the road. If you try to do weird stuff, you get a bullet hole through your head. That's it. Yeah, that's why you have all of this crazy stuff going on in the United States, because, yeah, this is what happens when you have so-called freedom. Everything gets out of control because sometimes, when you have a nation with a lot of people, right? United States has 343 million people. Things are going to get out of control because, it's very, very easy to control a small country. Let's say if you're the president or prime minister of New Zealand. If the country has 5 million people, so let's say imagine this as a bicycle wheel. The wheel is this big. It's very easy to control. What happens when you go from 5 million to 343 million? Things get very, very extreme on both ends of the spectrum. The wheel starts to spin out of control. What happens when you have 1.4 billion people? That's why sometimes China needs to be authoritarian because, even if just 1% of the population was crazy, right? Just so 1% of the 1.4 billion, that's 14 million crazy people. You have to have a way to control these people. So sometimes you got to be strict. That's why sometimes, you need the social credit system so people don't do crazy stuff like this. Yeah, the LA is 100. That's a start. That's just a preview. You'll see this happening, I would say, first in the UK. Within the next 5 years, I think a civil war will break out, and it's going to look very, very bad. Way worse than the protest that happened following the stabbing in Southport. I think 10 times worse. Then probably 5 years after that, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, there's going to be a civil war as well. And yeah, it's going to get very, very ugly unless something changes drastically. Once again, right, the people in the UK, they said their number one concern is immigration and refugees. 85% of the people in the UK, they want net migration to be reduced to less than 100,000 per year. And 50% wants zero immigrants and refugees. That's 50% of the people, right? Unless the government actually listens to the concerns of the citizens, right? If they keep on doing this, bringing millions of people in who has to basically stretch the resource to thin to the maximum, where they're going to be taking jobs away from local people, where they're going to be taking away housing from the local people, where inflation is going to run out of control, yeah, then there's going to be a massive civil war. And it's crazy to think, at one point, the British, you guys were the number one country in the world. Yeah, you guys ruled everything, the empire that the sun never sets on, because there's territories on all 24 time zones. But look at the UK now. It's a third world country. The UK has fallen. So let me, yeah, both cultural issues and systemic issues both can be true at the same time. Yes, exactly. Fist of the North Star. Let me read some of the comments. USA and the West doesn't want peace. They want to rule the world. They need the Middle East, Russia, China to be their scapegoat. Yeah, I mean that's they've had this plan for a very, very long time, and I think a lot of people are waking up to it. And if you're American, yeah, I think the number one goal is that the military-industrial complex, like all the military bases, 750 military bases around the world, they should be shut down. Because I mean, at this point, I think everybody needs to realize that, like, at the end, that's the end goal for America and NATO is primacy. And in order for them to achieve this primacy, they need to make all the other countries the enemy to make them look bad. Just yeah, like I said, like, it's pretty simple for there to be world peace. Just have China join NATO. Why does China have to be the enemy? So, thoughts on Jewish NGOs funding mass migrations to the West? Joe Biden with two ends? Well, I mean, that's up for debate. I don't think there's 100% truth behind that. So once again, I think there's more to it than a mass migration, because Canada was not like this until Justin Trudeau took power. It all started in November of 2015. I would say starting in 2016, because he had to pass some bills into place. Even up until 2015, Canada was a relatively stable country without mass migration. And you can't just say, oh, it's because Jews. It's Justin Trudeau, man. He single-handedly completely destroyed Canada. So I don't know why you guys are always trying to tie this to Israel. I mean, it's just, some of these people, like Justin Trudeau, once again, Justin Trudeau is obviously not Jewish. He's a white guy. Like, sometimes you got to take responsibility. You guys voted for this guy three times. He won 3 different elections, man. He has single-handedly turned Canada from one of the best countries in the world to a third world country through mass migration. So, and once again, Pierre Poilievre, he's made it very clear. He wants to reduce the number of immigrants. He wants to achieve something like possibly net zero migration rate. He says Trudeau has destroyed the immigration plan, the refugees plan, Canada's international students plan, the temporary foreign workers, the allowing foreign tourists to come in and get them a temporary SIN and get them a temporary visa so they can work in Canada and get a PR. He's 100% against all this. He wants to shut down immigration, right? But the Canadians, man, you guys keep voting for the Liberals, and Mark Carney wins in April, and he almost wins a majority. So in Canada, you need 172 seats to win the majority. He got 170. He was 2 seats away from majority, and he won the popular vote. He got 8.6 million. Pierre Poilievre got 8.1 million. So sometimes you got to look at yourself in the mirror and say, like, yeah, you guys are the one who keep voting for the government that hates you. Because Mark Carney has made it very clear he's not going to shut down immigration. He's going to keep on letting in millions of people. So, I mean, and the people keep supporting the Liberal Party. So let me getting behind on the comments. I know for a fact that Uyghurs are pre-education camps. Well, if that's what you really believe, then, if that's what they show you. But you have to remember, like, if you watch the Star Wars, they tell you that you can actually become one with the Force. So you got to be careful about the stuff you see on mainstream media. Remember, CNN, MSNBC, they're telling you that a man can become a woman, right? They're telling that you can actually go menstruate and you can actually give birth. So nowadays, it's very difficult to trust anything you see on the internet. Anybody can say anything now. And once again, yeah, I'm not making this up, right? The CNN, they're saying that a man can become a woman. Yeah, so that's what you want to believe in? You want to believe that China is committing genocide against the Muslims? So yeah, that's the U.S. is turning into a country of that wants to wage war, that wants to wage conflict, and you guys don't want peace. So There are both cultural issues. Let me read some of these comments. How many Chinese girls date and marry white men in America? Yeah, no, if you actually look at the rates, it's actually shocking. I'm not saying like, obviously some of my videos I talk about white men dating Asian women. It's not just a tiny small percentage of the population anymore. Maybe it used to. Look at the latest numbers. 37% of Asian women in America are marrying white men. 37%. That's why, obviously it's an issue, right? And that's why you guys are all lying. Also, this is another thing, right, with Westerners. They say, oh, these immigrants, they come in, they take all the jobs, they're sleeping with all of our women. Well, it's the white men who are taking all the Asian women. It's the other way around. So I think it's also very hypocritical. They're saying that, oh, race mixing is a problem. It's leading to the downfall of white race. But to look at the number of white men with Asian women is running rampant. Go to like New York, go to California, go to Boston, New Jersey, go to Seattle, go to Toronto, go to Vancouver. You'll see it's everywhere. It's like a plague, the number of a white man with Asian women. So it's not just a small percentage, it's a massive percentage of Asian women with white men. So yeah. Yeah, you see that movie, Crazy Rich Asians? Every single one of the female cast, all with white men. So yeah, it is a huge problem. Like Asian women are more likely to be with a white man versus like the other way, like was a black man with white woman. I think that's the second most common. But yeah, the most common pairing is a white man and Asian woman. It's everywhere. Do you trust the cops? No, I don't trust the cops. This is a good question. Your uncle? No. I think the police system has 100% failed, especially in Canada. CM, have you heard China's population is only 400 million? Yeah, you've been watching too much MSNBC, man. That's fake news, 100% fake news. So let me, well, there's a lot of comments. Let me actually try to read some of these. Low birth rates, social credit system, no thanks. Okay, China puts NATO countries to shame. Serpinda should go back to South Africa. Yeah, also yes, just people can say anything once again. Be careful about the stuff you see on the internet. One thing is true, I will admit. So China, number one problem. So young people, they're not entering relationships. They don't want to get married. They don't want to have children. So yeah, the leftover woman crisis. Also, they have all these new terms. So Ray Ray. So what is Ray Ray? Ray Ray is a Chinese woman that's in her late 20s, between 26 to 29, and she chooses. Ray Ray is basically a Chinese woman going their own way. So it's a Chinese woman saying that, oh, I'm never getting a boyfriend. I don't want to get married. I don't want to have children. I'm just gonna be, fine all by myself. I'm an independent woman. I don't need no man. So yeah, now it's very bad because it's not just left for a woman. A lot of Chinese women, maybe 20 or 30%, yeah, they never even want a boyfriend. So yeah, that one's true. So and once again, the leftover women, they say it's 100 million. It's difficult to say, but there's a lot of them. I would say probably right now in China, I would say roughly 50% of Chinese women will never get married and they will never have children. That one's true. So yeah, the dating game is very, very bad. It's very, very tough. So this is a huge crisis. And obviously the government's very concerned because yeah, if nobody wants to get married and have children, the country is going to be screwed. That one's true. Okay, that one's not propaganda. Some videos, a lot of other stuff you see might be 100% fake. But yeah, the dating situation's very, very bad in China. So, okay, let's see. Okay, thank you. AAJ Entertainment, $5. Just work hard, make money, retire in Asia, save up, live like a king, trying to save money, and smash with Shengnu. Law in China protects man more. Oh, thank you. AAJ. Oh, that's the channel, Average Joe Entertainment. Oh, thank you. So you also sent me $5 yesterday. So thank you for $10 now. Yeah, I agree. I think make as much money as you can. Well, if you're still in the West, then look for a place to live in Asia. I understand Latin America is cheaper as well, but I mean, I don't know. I probably wouldn't want to travel to Mexico or Panama because I know one high school teacher. He coaches track and field. That's how I got to know him. He spends every single winter in Mexico, but he told me the place he stays at is full of like rich old white people because Canada is very cold. So every winter he goes to Mexico, and the area where he lives, the Mexicans, most of them they do speak English, and it's very, very safe. Like there's no crime. But he also said it costs just as much as living in Canada. The reason why it's so safe is because of it's full of rich old white white people. I'm just saying. But he said if you actually go to some remote village in Mexico, sure, it could be 10 times cheaper, but like you got to be careful. I mean, you could get your Chinese egg cut off or something. I mean, you could be seduced by a prostitute and you wake up with your lungs, your liver's missing. Like most of Latin America, like Venezuela, Panama, and Chile, like, Colombia, those countries can be very, very dangerous. At least for the most part, most Asian countries are very, very safe. Once again, it's a culture thing, right? If you look at Indonesia, 250 million Muslims, they don't seem to have an issue at all. So sometimes I wonder, is something is wrong with the culture, what's happening in the Middle East. So yes, thank you, average Asian Joe Entertainment. So yeah, I think Asia is a good place to stay. At least for the most part, Asia is very, very safe. I'm not saying that Asians don't commit crimes, but I'm just saying they're not as deadly versus something like murder or looting or rape. Do you know what Asians are more likely to do? Like pyramid scheme. I know it can be just as bad, but generally you gotta be careful. We're getting catfished for, they may ask you to redeem this gift card or something. Just a lot of those kind of stupid white collar scams. That's what the crimes the Asians are most likely to commit. But if you're talking about theft, robbery, violent crimes, most of Asia, there's virtually none. It's very, very safe. So, why do you think Thailand has so many lady boys? It's because all the Westerners are coming to Thailand and taking their women. What do you think? Now there's way too many excess men. So what choices do they have? So if you're an average Thai guy who is, let's say, who is 5'5", who weighs 120 pounds, who makes, $200 a month? How can you compete with, let's say, a 6 foot tall white guy who's making $75,000 a year? You can't. And this is also the issue with multiculturalism. And when the government's allowing all these foreigners to come in to become these sex pats, because that's how they are. It's not even passport bros. They're just looking for sex, right? And they're hooking up with all these Asian women. The local Thai guy becomes a cuck, he becomes an incel, and then maybe his only option is to become ladyboy and make some money. That's why. It's because you never see a boy lady, like you never see a woman get some kind of surgery, get some hormones to turn herself into a man, because a woman live life, I'm sorry to say, women live life on easy mode, especially in these Asian countries. Any Thai woman can get a 6 foot tall white guy who's making six figures, but the average Thai guy, he's screwed because all the foreigners are taking all their women. So there's way too many excess men. So that's why Thailand, I believe, is also one of the gayest country in the world, because there's way too many men and the women are being taken by foreigners. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. And to all the white men complaining about, white women that are choosing to date black men, all this stuff. Like, once again, on average, right, white men are the most sought after, ethnicity. This is worldwide, without a doubt. Look at the dating apps, especially in Southeast Asia, in the Philippines, in Vietnam, in Thailand, right? The odds of a white man getting a match on Tinder on those dating apps in Southeast Asia is like 10 times higher versus a local Asian man. So, white men are by far considered to be the most attractive. So stop saying that, all these immigrants are taking our women. It's you guys who are taking the immigrants. So, America profits off of war. Yes, I think part of that is true. CH wants BWC and BBC system credit. What? No way. I don't think that's true. What? Crossus, they are forced fed bacon as punishment. Are you talking about the Chinese government? Once again, you gotta be careful about the stuff you see on the internet. Hopefully teach us. So let me, I'm getting behind. Let me try to read some of these comments. A lot of people say when they ask they don't follow politics, they vote liberal because it's their job. Yeah, man, especially where I live in National Capital Region, I think there's 7 or 8 seats. The Liberals completely swept the city of Ottawa. Every single area turned completely red. I was shocked and disgusted. Not a single seat, even Pierre Poilievre, he lost his own seat. Every single person, the vast majority of the people voted Liberals, in where I live right now. Just 100%, I don't know, once again, right? They made their plan 100% crystal clear, and you want to blame AIPAC or Israel. But the Liberals literally told you, we're going to bring in millions of immigrants. Doesn't matter if you like it or not. And they still won the popular vote. So, I mean, who else do you want to blame? Once again, about 80% of the eligible voters, a lot of the immigrants, if they only have their permanent residence, they can't vote. You have to become a Canadian citizen. So about 80% of the voter base in Canada is white. And the Liberal Party of Canada hates you, but you still voted for them. And then, they're on pace to bring in 3.2 million immigrants into Canada this year. That's in 1 year. Imagine what the country will look like by 2035, by 2040. It's going to be unrecognizable. The entire country is going to look like Brampton, Mississauga, Surrey, Abbotsford. Yeah, that's going to be the entire country. It's going to turn into a Punjab or a Uttar Pradesh. Yeah, that's the entire country. And everybody, the national anthem is going to turn into that song, like a da. Yeah, that's going to be what's that guy's name? I forget. I forgot that guy's name. Yeah, that's going to be the national anthem of Canada. But yeah, you guys keep voting for this. Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you for the $5. Aibo, not true. Thailand has more women than men. Plus, they have a lot of Thai men are ladyboys, gay monks. There's recently stat published in Bangkok Post. Maybe I'll look more into it. I mean, also, yeah, one of the things, speaking about ladyboys, I think, the reason why some Thai men choose to do that. Because imagine, like, Thailand overall is a very poor country. That's why a lot of Western men choose to live there, because it's very cheap. Like, for $1,000 a month, if you lived in Bangkok, you can live a great life. If you make $2,000 US per month, in the US, you'll be homeless, right? If you go to Thailand, you're probably like the top 3%. Yeah, I mean, you'd be the top G. That's why so many Western men are going there. And the reason why so many Thai men are choosing to do that, because they can make a lot of money. Yeah. Imagine, right? Go work at a factory as a normal Thai guy and make $200 a month or something. But imagine, get a surgery, cut your balls off, and become a ladyboy and make $200,000 US per year. I mean, the choice is yours, right? So money changes people. So I think a lot of these young Thai men are just saying, might as well sell my soul to the devil and just become a ladyboy, a trans woman, and make $200K a year. So a lot of it has to do with money as well. That's why also in China, right? Not China, sorry, in Thailand, there's so many red light districts, because these young women, they want to make money. Why go to some warehouse and make $200 a month when they can be making $300,000 or $400,000 a year working as a prostitute? So at the end of the day, it comes down to money. So, well, thank you, Aibo. So for €10 now, yeah, maybe I'll visit Thailand sometime in the future. I'll see. Women's vote, not Quebec. Yeah, I guess the Indians are not really coming to Quebec, but you know what Quebec is? They're mostly getting the blacks and Arabs. So if you go to Montreal now, look at what Montreal looks like. I mean, there's not too many white people left in the city. It's full of Africans and Middle Easterners. So I mean, the entire Canada is going to be unrecognizable. It already is, but imagine another 10, 15, 20 years. So, why they gay though? What? As an Indian, I voted blue. I don't want a mini India. Yep, I didn't make it back in time to vote, but I was going to vote for the Conservatives. But yeah, this is getting out of control, man. Just you can't be letting in like 3 million people a year and expect there not to be any consequences. So like, I just look at the housing crisis in Canada. Look at how those Indian people are living. Like, I've seen those houses where they have 20, 30, 40 people living in one house, and even that's against the law. Like, they should be evicted. Well, the issue is because too many people have come into Canada in such a short period of time, and there's just there's no room to put all of these people. So that's why rent is getting so expensive. You wonder why you can't find an apartment, and you wonder why you can't find a job, because all the jobs are filled. Look up actually, if you go on Indeed, look up the job listings, right, on Indeed for summer jobs and part-times. I believe in just the last 2 years, it's gone down by like 70%. Because let's face it, look at Tim Hortons, look at McDonald's, look at Dairy Queen, Burger King, Arby's. All those places, they're 90% Indian workers now. Same with Loblaws and Walmart. Walmart, I would say probably 80% Indians. Yeah, because that's the only way those Indians can get their PR. So the whole system is being set up. It's a pathway for them to get their citizenship. So now the local people who are living in Canada, they can't find jobs because all of them are being taken. So that's what I mean. There's going to be a civil war because people are already struggling. And that summer job for those students, right, before they could use that money so that one day they can finally afford to move out of their parents' basement, so they can afford to buy their first car, so they can afford to save up for their tuition money. But now that summer money is gone. It's all being taken by immigrants. So yeah, there's so many issues to this. Why women are voting for open immigration can't be stopped. The West will fall in 70 years. Well, I think the West has already fallen. I mean, maybe not completely yet, but give it 10 to 20 years. I don't think it's going to be 70 years. I think in the United States and Canada, probably white people will become minorities by 2040. In the UK and France, maybe 2050 to 2060. Maybe they're 10 to 20 years behind. But yeah, imagine what these countries will look like by 2100. Yeah, it's going to turn into a third world country, right? Once again, I'm not saying immigration needs to be shut down completely, but there needs to be control. You can't just let everybody in. Like, just now okay? There's another super chat. Keep grinding. By the way, did you know that Ottawa has some amazing Eastern shawarma? I was looking forward to your Three Kingdoms content, Dynasty Warrior. Okay, Uh, Thank you, AAJ Entertainment. So, uh, yes, there's one place off of a Bank and Hunt Club. You wouldn't know this unless you've been to Ottawa. Shawarma Palace. Yeah, I would say it's the best shawarma in town. In fact, honestly, if it wasn't for this Middle Eastern thing, if actually some of these Middle Eastern women, they would abandon the hijab and they would, let's say, put the Quran behind, I'm willing to open and to date like Middle Eastern or possibly even marry them. Some of them are like the most beautiful women I've ever seen. Like, it's just unfortunate they have to cover up everything. The Shawarma Palace off of a Bank and Hunt Club many years ago. I think it's owned by a Lebanese family. There used to be a waitress, like a redhead. She's full Lebanese, but like I know some of those Arabs, they look European. So, and I mean, her like massive. She had like weapons of mass destruction. Like they were probably one of the biggest sets I've ever seen, including her ass too. It was unbelievable, and she wasn't wearing anything. Like she was just dressed like a Western girl, but she was like full Lebanese. Yeah, like she was absolutely gorgeous. And well, that aside, I don't obviously this was like 10 years ago. That's the first time I walked in. Their food is also very good. It's the mixed plate. It's like 23.95. It's getting expensive, but I would say it's the best shawarma in town. But yeah, once again, I think it comes down to culture. But I think some Muslim women, some Arab women are absolutely gorgeous. It's just sometimes that some of their culture, some of their practices are quite questionable. I think it's leading to a lot of problems in the community. So thank you once again for AAJ Entertainment. So yeah, let me read more of some of these comments. What are your thoughts on the AMIA fraud? I don't know who's Amia. Is it someone trying to make China look terrible? Yeah. So yeah, once again, when you see this stuff, especially from the United States, it's questionable. The only thing that's really true is that yeah, the dating marriage game has become like it's like hell on earth now. Trying to find a girlfriend in China, it's getting so difficult. Yeah, that one's it's very bad. And yeah, their birth rate is plummeting to like I think it's like half of the replacement level now. It could be even lower. So yeah, that one's true. But most of the other stuff is yeah, that most of the other stuff a lot of propaganda. But I mean, also the same thing is happening to the West, right? They're saying that half of the Western women they will become leftover women. They will never get married or have children. So yeah, it's happening everywhere. So yeah, there's no good place on earth. Just internet, social media. People want to be Instagram famous or TikTok famous. Smartphones they have destroyed everything. Yeah, so. So it's not following it. Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, that song Tunak by Taylor Mindy. Yeah, that's actually a great song. I don't know. Every time people bring that song, people say, "Oh, that's so racist." But actually, like that's a really catchy song. Like it starts with like for like 23 seconds, then it goes like like I really like that song, man. It's so catchy. So I think that's a good song. Yeah, that's going to be the new national anthem of Canada soon. So please do not integrate it. Goes to for the new immigrants. So Afghans are really attractive. No, like I'm serious. Like some of these women, especially like the Egyptian women, some of them they look like straight up Barbie dolls. Like they're really hot. It's just like once again, I wish if they actually just wear like just wear like a sports coat, wear like a sports bra or something, wear some gym shorts. Yeah, like they're really attractive women. It's just some of their practices are quite questionable. So yeah, Middle Eastern woman before after birth two. Okay, there's before and after birth two sets of person. But I think that's the same for vast majority of the women, right? Same with white women. White women after they give birth, they go from like some 10 out of 10 sports babe to like a Dungeness crab. Why do I say Dungeness crab? Because it's like horizontal, right? So they're turning sideways. It's like doubling your investment. 110 pounds when you marry your wife, and after she gets after you get married, after she gives birth, she turns to 220 pounds. So it's like a compounding interest. Yeah, you get to double your wife, double your investment in 10 years. So I think the part of the reason why that's why a lot of men are choosing Asian women, because Asian woman usually her waist, just everything, right? Her facial features, just her everything. Like they don't really change. They don't turn into a Dungeness crab after you're married to them for 10, 15, 20, 30 years. I mean, their face obviously has aged a little bit, but their physique, it's going to be pretty much the same. Like they don't turn into like a big fat white woman. So yeah, that's also a big issue with a lot of European women. I think that's why, Asian women are like so popular nowadays, is because, yeah, too many white women, as soon as they turn 30, they start to grow sideways. So why did African Americans not support Hispanic population against the deportation? Wait, what's the question? Why did African Americans not support what? against deportation. Are you talking about the riots in LA? I'm not sure exactly what that means, but I'll try to read some of the Mario comments. Weapons of mass destruction. Well, you wouldn't know, but I mean, she wouldn't be working there now. Like the first time I went to that place, a Han Club, that must have been like 2012 or 2013. There used to be a Lebanese girl. I'm talking like Victoria's Secret supermodel, like the hottest woman I've ever seen. Like her body was like outrageous. So yeah, and yeah, I'm surprised that she wasn't like she was wearing a pretty revealing outfit. I'm surprised like the Muslims they actually allowed that. Yeah, she was full Lebanese. So yeah, but yeah, she's no longer there anymore. But yeah, I would say one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. So talking about if the face is not different, well, it won't matter. Why are you obsessed? Oh, okay, some of it I think it's people going back and forth. Let me see. Make sure I didn't miss any super chats. So okay, we still have 160 people. Oh, I didn't realize I've been at this for over 2 hours now. Holy, that's crazy. What did I want to talk about? Oh, that's a great point. So I think I've read most of the comments, certainly all the super chats. So let me talk about, yeah. So the cancer of Western culture, right? Since I've returned to Canada, I've so bad. And once again, a lot of white people, man, like, what are you guys doing? So honestly, like when I first arrived in Canada over 20 years ago, I've never ever seen white people act like this way. So there's one white guy who I used to be on the same team as him. My fitness ever since I got sick has been obviously going downhill, hasn't been so great. So this guy is 6'2", fairly good looking guy. He has a girlfriend right now, right? So he has a fairly attractive girlfriend. He has had multiple girlfriends because once again, it's pretty easy for a white guy to find a date. You know, if you're a white guy who's an incel, you got to really work on yourself. And so he's gone through multiple girlfriends, right? And he went to university for 1 year, drops out of school. You guys know what happened? This is why me like it's getting so bad. I never see white people act like this. He drops out of school. He says that he wants to be a rapper. By the way, yeah, he's released 3 albums so far. I don't think he's made a single dollar. I think he lives with his parents. So this guy, he's in his late 20s. He's probably like 27 or 28. I mean, he's not going to get married. Even if he wants to get married, do you think his girlfriend wants to actually marry him? This is the problem. I think he's been watching too much, you know, African American culture. He thinks he can be the next Kendrick Lamar or Biggie or Tupac. I'm sorry to say there are problems. Like the reason why, if you look at the American prison system, the reason why there's so many young black men in there, how many of them are rapper wannabes? Like you can't just, okay, if you have a normal full-time job, if you actually graduated school, you got a government job, you're making 6 figures on your spare time, if you want to release your own album, it's fine. This guy absolutely doesn't care, drops out of school and probably lives with his parents in his late 20s. He has an attractive girlfriend, but he's not going to get married. He's not going to have children. He tries to release all these BS albums. He's like, yo, what's up, what's up? I'm the Kendrick Lamar. I'm Drake. Yeah, started from the bottom. Now we're here. I'm the next big thing. Like, he makes absolutely nothing. I don't even think, I don't know how he's surviving. Probably gets money from his parents. So this is what I mean. I've never seen white people act like this, and you wonder why. Like, and obviously China has a lot of issues, right? And I know if you're so against immigrants, but if all the white people are acting like this, like he's not going to get married, he's not going to have children, he's most likely going to end up becoming a failure. This is the problem. This is the cancer, right? This is 100% culture cancer. I talk about the big fat white guy stealing, and right now, I think the vast majority of the white people, they just don't care anymore. How can you have a society when people are doing stuff like this, dropping out of school, trying to be a rapper wannabe, and just goes through like bunch of all these girlfriends? It's not serious about any of them, not getting married, not having children. Same with my track and field coach, my running coach. So, I mean, she used to be a very, very good runner, but unfortunately, due to injury, she was forced to retire early. And so her and her husband, they both make good money. I mean, she's in her 50s now, right? I've been to their house. They have no children. They're called the dinks, dual income, no children. I understand people are doing this now because things are so expensive. But once again, like she got married like 30 years ago, right? They have a big house. They have a nice car. And they have a cottage home. And they decide to just buy a dog. And that's it. Just become dink. I see so many white people do that. I like they can find a woman, they can find a man, they can get married, they can buy a big house, they live happily ever after. It's not like in their toxic marriage or relationship, right? They both really love each other. They just decide that, oh, you know what, whatever, we're just not going to have any children. And this is why it's a massive issue. If you look at Canada's birth rate right now, it's 1.26. Right, the replacement rate is 2.1. That's because the immigrants are bumping up that number. If it wasn't for the immigrants, it would probably be the same as South Korea. It would be one of the lowest in the world because so many people, they just want to lay around, smoke weed all day, drop out of school trying to be a rapper and then not do anything. And just so many people have completely given up. So yeah, this is the culture cancer because I would say, like in another 5, 10, 15 years time, the country is going to be completely over. Because before, I would say, yes, the vast majority of the people who are doing stupid stuff like this, I would say they're immigrants. But now it's not just the immigrants. Like a lot of white people are acting like this. And once again, I'm not saying that I'm not against you if you try to be a rapper wannabe. But how many people end up becoming Kendrick Lamar? How many people end up becoming Biggie or Tupac? Right? If you actually get your shit together. If you found a bank job or a government job or a consultant job, you're making good money. Sure, on your spare time, you can try to release an album. But not getting a job and dropping out of school and go back to living with your parents and trying to make it as a rapper, and you have an attractive girlfriend, but you don't care about any of them. You just go through all these summer flings and situationships and not getting married and not having children. If the majority of the civilization acts like that, then that society is going to end. But I never see white people act like this, but I've seen so many white people do that now, and it's a massive concern. So yeah, like this is an issue. This has been happening for a very long time. Once again, Canada's birth rate has been extremely low before immigration, right? Before mass immigration, before refugees, before the housing crisis, before inflation. So many people, like my running coach, they just decide to be dinks. They have a spouse, they live happily ever after, and they buy a couple of cats, they buy a couple of dogs, or they get a guinea pig or hamster, and they said, yeah, we don't need to have children. But that is the only way for civilization to continue. The only reason why you exist is because your parents, they met each other, they got married, and they procreated. And your grandparents also did the same thing, and your great-grandparents, your third great-grandparents, every single one of your ancestors procreated in order for you to exist. The only reason why countries like Canada, like UK, like United States existed is because all of your ancestors, they all got married and they all procreated. But so many white people are just like this now, just like whatever, man, just smoke weed, drop out of school, be a rapper, screw children, screw this, just a situationship, hookup culture. So yeah, it's terrible to see what the country has become, and that's the cultural cancer. That's what destroys the society completely. So let me focus on one of the. Oh, it's another super thank you. I both thank you for another €5. So that's third super chat now. Thank you. Nothing will change if you have a Western salary saving. Go live in Southeast Asia or Latin America, stable like Thai, Malaysia, Uruguay, Panama. Yes, I agree 100%, man. Just the West has fallen, and I don't think there's. I think it's at the point where it's going to be too late to save it, to actually do anything. And the only way to save it once again is you need to bring back the church, bring back the Judeo-Christian values. But I think it's so difficult because so many people don't care anymore. Yes, I understand. I think church attendance is actually up, but it's still the minority. Most of the people, like the 6'2" white guy I mentioned, yeah, he just wants to sit around, smoke weed, and not work, and try to be a rapper wannabe, and just be a situationship, and never get married and have children. So yeah, it's going to be so hard to actually change that. Okay, let me read more of these comments. I agree. White cell is one of the biggest cope. Yeah. It's very easy for a white man to get a girlfriend. I'm saying, okay, on average, once again, I understand, like, if you look like, what's that guy, Brandon Beavis from not Fresh and Fit, whatever podcast. If you're like a really, really fat, really short, really ugly white guy, this balding white guy with a beer gut, with, asymmetrical face with crooked teeth, now I'm really, really sorry. But for an average white guy, it's pretty easy for you to get a girlfriend. And like, if you think your life is tough, imagine the average life of an Asian guy or Indian guy. Remember, in America, 37% of Asian women are marrying white men. I mean, what chances do Asian guys have? So there's another super chat. Oh, thank you so much for $10. Tailor made to win. Why did it's the same question. Why did African Americans not support Hispanic population against deportation? Are you saying that you want these Hispanics deported in the U.S.? Black Americans are choosing to sit out protests against deportation. I'm not sure if I understand that question 100%. Once again, thank you for $10. Why did they not support? So why did African Americans not support the Hispanic population against deportation? You're saying that this Hispanics deserve to stay in the United States? Well, I think it 100% depends. I mean, if you crossed into the country illegally by the Rio Grande, then I don't think they should be staying here at all. Once again, there's already crisis in the United States, right? Young people, they can't find jobs. There's a massive housing crisis. And if you take in millions of people, it's going to make the crisis 10 times worse. And I'll mention this in one of my upcoming videos as well, right? And so I don't care. I understand Trump has a lot of issues. Once again, I thought he would be able to actually bring world peace. I thought he would be able to actually, end the war in Ukraine. Between Russia and Ukraine, I thought he would be able to end the conflict between Israel and the Palestinians, but he can't. So understand his presidency has issues, but one thing he did was 100% correct was, so something Joe Biden reversed on January 20th of 2021. Trump had a mandatory DNA test policy at the U.S. border. Anybody that showed up as a legal alien, well, they're just illegal aliens, they're not migrants, right? They had to get a mandatory DNA test to prove that they're the father of their children. So what do I mean, right? So before, some 40-year-old guy from, Chile or Colombia or Panama or something, he shows up, he says that, oh, this is my daughter and my son. The U.S. Border agents, they have the right to take a mandatory DNA test to stop them. And if they found out that these are not his or her, these are not his son or his daughter, they know that this guy is actually a pimp. He's trying to smuggle these children into the U.S. illegally. And before this was allowed under the Trump administration, Joe Biden shows up, 17 executive orders on the evening of January 20th. He reversed all of that. From that moment on, that's how 320,000 children went missing. Okay, that's crime against humanity. It's a shame the media wants to censor this. So those 320,000, right? So now you get this some 40 or 50-year-old Mexican guy. He brings in two children, one from Ecuador, one from Colombia. He says, this is my 11-year-old son, this is my 10-year-old daughter. And now the border security agents, they no longer have the right to take a DNA test. They just have to believe this story. They say, oh, okay, this is your family. Okay, well, we'll process you for, for asylum seeking, and we'll let you through the border. And that's how 320,000 children went missing in the United States. And Trump was asked about this, right? And he said, what happened? It's very, very unfortunate. Yeah, most of those children that was smuggled into the border like that, so they probably all became sex slaves in the U.S. It's a terrible world we live in. And if you don't believe in that, well, let me ask you this. Who killed Jeffrey Epstein? Obviously not himself. And when Trump was asked, what do you think happened to those 320,000 children that was illegally smuggled across the border? And because there was no mandatory DNA testing, and now we can't find any of them. Trump said, yeah, because they're probably dead. Yes. They're expendables. They were used up. Yeah, and once they're used up, because that's evidence. That's evidence against those people who have committed crimes against humanity. So they have all been killed. And that all happened under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. That's why I would have never, ever voted for the Democrats back in 2024, because Kamala Harris was the border czar. 320,000 children went missing. Yeah. And remember, January 20th, Joe Biden signed that executive order to remove the DNA testing, so all these pimps could just move all these children across the border, and they were all being sold into sex slavery. It's a terrible world that we live in. So once again, I don't think there's, it doesn't matter which part of the world you live in, you should be 100% against illegal immigration. This is what happens when you have uncontrolled illegal immigration. You have 320,000 children that go missing. So it's a terrible world that we live in. Once again, Jeffrey Epstein, he obviously did not kill himself. But I think a lot of, if the government was honest, it would be very, very easy to find out who actually did it. But we'll never know, because the list of people that wants to kill him is so long. So, Chosen White Bushy. Well, but I want to, once again, thank you guys. Thank you so much for the $10. But I would say, even legal immigration at this point, I think people need to question whether if a country is actually benefiting. So, but illegal immigration should be shut down 100%. It should never, ever be allowed. So we're told over and over to not have children CM. We can talk forever. Nothing will change. So change your location. Oh, well, thank you. I did mention, I'm just working my hardest to pay back my debt. My goal is 2 more years, hopefully end of 2027. But I will take another trip to China. I'm thinking probably next year. So yeah, I will try my best. And in September, I will bring on people to have a back and forth conversation. So yeah, it's all coming. But I do need some time still. Why did that's Taylor again. I'm going to Ghana. Usual suspect. Multiculturalism has ruined America. Yes, 100%. Dominion voting machines used in Canada? No, it's most people they vote in person, but sometimes there's mail-in ballots too, which also I think all countries should get rid of that, because the mail-in ballots are very sketchy and very questionable. I wouldn't trust any of them. So yeah, spring bring darkness to us. There are so many people who aren't even Hispanic being violent. Yeah, it's a culture thing, man. America, a lot of Western countries are having a lot of problems, man. So I've seen dogs getting treated better than Indians in Europe. Well, are you talking about specifically the UK or, well, I'm not sure what that comment means exactly. So there are people who aren't even. Okay, let me read. Multiculturalism has been a total failure. The voting system, as a Canadian company, actually, all developed countries are failing. Yes, 100%. So, and also, well, the round of water. I'll keep this going on. How long I've been? Oh, I've been at this for a very long time. I'll keep going on this for a very very. I'll keep this going on for a little bit longer. So thank you to everybody who has donated. So what I will say is this: at the end of the day, okay, what's this? I saw Chinese goes super based perfect. So yeah, be careful with anything you see on the media nowadays. A lot of stuff you see is very very dangerous. And for example, right, if you see look at what happened in the UK to Lucy Connolly. She's serving a 31-month prison sentence for saying that she does not want immigrants, she doesn't want refugees. Well, I think she said more than that. It was fairly violent, but it's just one social media post, and that got her a 31-month prison sentence. It's a horrible, horrible world we live in. This is what I mean. The UK is turning into a third world country. I think America, something has changed ever since Trump walked down that golden escalator. Maybe a lot of people hate him, but at least in America, still, like, it's not as bad as that. Because now, like, they're arresting people in the UK for making offensive social media posts now. This is what I mean. This is what I mean by the culture cancer. You say there's a freedom of speech. Okay, what if, imagine, right now it's Pride Month. Imagine in high school for Pride Month, they bring in a trans speaker who is a guy who injected himself with some hormones. He says that I'm a trans woman and I want you guys to feel empowered. I want to empower the trans and the queer and the non-binary community. If you as a senior student, you go out there, you say that that's disgusting, that is absolutely sick, that's wrong. You know what's going to happen? You're going to get expelled from school. Even if you don't get expelled, forget about going to university. Forget about your scholarships. Forget about just playing on the football team or basketball team. Your career is over. Forget about getting a future job at a bank or as a consultant for the government. And that's the cultural cancer I talked about. Right? So this is what I mean. The Western countries is falling. They say, oh, there's freedom of speech. So can you say that? Can you say that in Canada, in the United States, or especially the UK? Can you say that, gays, trans, queers are disgusting? You can't. But you know what? Everybody can say that in China. So this is what I mean. A lot of you guys are being misfed, these brain rot poisons. This is the cancel culture, yes, culture cancer, whatever you want to call it. But obviously, China has issues. For example, in China, can you say a President Xi looks like a Winnie the Pooh? You can't. Exactly. But hey, you can say gays and queers are disgusting and they should be locked up. You can say that. So this is what I mean, right? There's no perfect solution to all this. I can talk about this all day long, but at the end of the day, this is what I mean. Why these Western countries are turning to a third world shithole, because there's so many stuff that you used to be able to say. For example, when I was in high school, I went to high school in Canada from 2006 to 2010. I actually had teachers that were against all of this, right? This is when they first tried to bring in like Pride Month. And when I was first arrived in Canada, there was only gay, lesbian, and bisexual. That's it. There was no like queer or non-binary and transgender. Back then, I had teachers telling me in high school, they said that gays are absolutely disgusting and they should not be allowed in society. They should be locked up. Once again, I think, if you want to be gay, if you want to be gay, you be gay, right? But, some teachers were really extreme. And back from 2006 to 2010, teachers at schools, they were allowed to say that. You can say that at a school assembly in front of 1,000 students and no problem at all. But look at the state of Canada, UK, and the US now. Anything you can say, you say can get you expelled from school. Anything you say can make you lose your job. This is what I mean. Basic survival is becoming almost impossible. And, if it's Pride Month, you work for government office, and they ask you, you have to hang the trans flag up, in front of your desk. Everybody has to wear this trans badge. And if you say no, then you lose your job. This is total. That's the end goal of a woke ideology. I'll release this in the future. Once again, okay, there's another super chat. And I want to talk about something. I'm coming up to 3 hours. Oh, crazy. Over 2.5 hours. I'll talk a little bit longer before I shut this down, but I do have 94 viewers still. I want to tell you guys something very important. I want you guys to look this up. So, Ayebo, thank you for another €5. So, immigration, because Western salaries, life standards have lowered so that we can compete with BRICS and the SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Well, one thing, you're absolutely correct. Once again, thank you for the €5. So yes, there's a shift of wealth from the global north to the global south, and yes, you do have the rise of BRICS. And people say, oh, those BRICS countries, they can never rise up. But if you look at what Canada used to be versus what Canada is now, right? Once again, I had a neighbor, a white neighbor. Both spouses worked at a printing company, had 6 people. They worked 40 hours a week. That's it. No overtime. They were making average income at best. They paid off their mortgage in like 10 years. They live in a big house. They have a sedan. They have a family van. They have a cottage home. They can afford to send both their daughters to university. They live a perfectly fine life. They're probably retired now. They must be in their 60s now. And look at the state of young people in Canada now. So all of this is why it's so important. The end, what I talk about, right? If you say you're against wearing the trans flag badge thing, and if you say all of this is wrong, right? You will lose your job. You will get expelled from school. That is the definition of Marxist woke ideology. At the end of the day, if you want to understand woke ideology, woke, it's Marxism. It comes down to Karl Marx and Frederick Engels. This is why it's so important to actually have knowledge, because if you actually understand someone like Vladimir Lenin, if you actually understood the Bolsheviks, if you understood what happened, the October Revolution, Bloody Sunday, you have to understand Genrik Yagoda, talk about Nikolai Yezhov, and probably the most evil of them now, the most evil person out of the group, not Joseph Stalin. There was another person, Leventry Pavlovich Beria. Definitely look up Leventry Pavlovich Beria. The man was an absolute monster. At the end of the day, he was shot in the head in the Lubyanka by Nikita Khrushchev. So, in order to understand all of this, you have to look at communism. The only reason why China was able to escape extreme poverty is because Canada is capitalist. I understand capitalism has problems, but communism can never ever work. Ever since 1978, China completely stepped away from communism because it is vicious, it's carnivorous, it only eats meat. And anything that gets basically caught up in communism, it's just look at Stalin's Great Purge, look up the Holodomor, that's communism. And look at Stalin's if you actually read Lenin's April thesis, if you actually really studied hard about Petrograd, so modern day St. Petersburg, right? Really study, if you dive deep into this topic, if you got to really learn about the Bolsheviks. So because Petrograd, it used to be called the breadbasket of Bolshevism. It's very important, and it was also because of this. There was another protest following the Treaty of Versailles. So there was the May 4th movement in China, which erupted between university students all across China. And one of those prominent students that rose up from the May 4th movement was Chairman Mao Zedong himself, and where he talks about there's a new movement of the Bolsheviks, where he's so obsessed with Lenin, his April thesis, and later. In the French concession of Shanghai, he will go on to find the Chinese Communist Party. But their first chairman, he was actually assassinated before he was able to board the train. So there's a lot to go on over there, but this is what I mean. The Western nations, they're becoming more communist than ever before. If you actually study Chinese history, if you actually study the Russian history, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's very concerning because all of this, you can do the research. I'll post this on one of my future videos. I'll cover it briefly. Look up the long diagram. The long diagram is 5,500 words, right? Look up, Google the long diagram. The first results, you should be able to read the entire diagram. It predicted all of this. It predicted basically woke ideology. So pitting old people against young people, where like young people are saying that old people destroyed everything. Now we have no hope. Pitting newcomers, immigrants versus the natives, pitting black people against white people, pitting man versus woman. Yeah, look up the long diagram written by George Kennan. The long diagram was released on February 22nd in 1946. Precisely 3:52 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, released in Moscow by George Kennan from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He's from and he studied in Germany and also lived in Switzerland and then lived in Moscow. He sent that telegram to the U.S. Secretary of State. See, All of that, this is what you need. If you can't remember all of this, you should not be graduating from university. I don't have any notes. I even remember February 22nd, 1946, before the Cold War started, before the Berlin airlift. Look up George Kennan. Then everything will make so much sense to you. He warned America about all of this. He basically predicted the entirety of the Cold War, what was going to unfold. And he told he told everybody, he warned everybody about the dangers of a communism. If you read, there's one quote precisely from the long telegram. Once again, I don't even have any notes. I'm just looking at my phone screen. One of the notes, he said that communism is like a malignant parasite. Yeah, because that's exactly what's happening. All the Western countries are becoming communist very, very fast. And go do some research. Go actually watch. Not watch, go read the long telegram and also search up George Kennan and his entire life. One of the smartest men who has ever lived, who has ever existed throughout history, I believe. George Kennan, this man's an absolute genius. I can't believe he wrote the long telegram, 5,500 words in 1946. He predicted everything. And if you want to think communism isn't bad, you should probably look up the Holodomor. Yeah, and if you think it wasn't bad, you should look up people like Genrik Goda, look up Nikolai Yezhov, look up Leventry Beria, look up what they did, look up the Great Purge, Stalin's Great Purge, upwards of 1.3 million deaths. Look up what happened to the basement of Lubyanka. So it's very important, and maybe in the future I will cover more topics like this. But I think this is why when people are so ignorant, as to what happened in history, when they don't understand things like the Great Leap Forward, when they don't understand the struggle sections or the Holodomor, people are so easily to fall prey to these things. But the Western countries, they're becoming more communist every single day, and it's a massive, massive concern because communism is about two things. You have the red class, which are the true communists, and then you have the black class, who are the bourgeois. And any person who's a bourgeois, you're identified as a bourgeois because you're a non-communist, you're a non-believer, and you have to be completely annihilated. And I think a lot of people, they're becoming bourgeois in the under woke ideology, under Marxism. But that's definitely look up the long telegram. But and also if you want to understand communism, study the entire history of the Soviet Union, starting I would say with Sir Nicholas II, how he was executed by Yurovsky. It was ordered by Lenin, and I believe yes, there was 10 executors, possibly 11 in that room. The entire execution took roughly 20 minutes. Look up the October Revolution, how he was overthrown. Look up John Kerensky. If you understand, I think once you understand Russian history, you will understand everything that's been happening in the Western countries because it's a carbon copy. Once again, George Kennan, he predicted all of this. I believe there's another super chat. I'll go read it, and then I think I'll make some closing statements. I've been at this for 2.5 hours. Thank you to everybody that's donated. Thank you for all your support. So let me look. Okay. Ogre Online. Okay, thank you for the $10. What do you think about China's support for Iran? What do you think about Israel starting a war? That's a good question. Well, in a perfect world, I think once again, I understand the world's not perfect. I don't think China should be supporting Iran, and I don't think the United States should be supporting Israel. I think, if they do choose to go to a war, they should just, they can nuke each other. They can do whatever they want. I don't think anybody should interfere. But this is what I mean. This is terrible because it's going to pull China and Russia closer than ever before. And the United States, right, I think at this point, the United States has become a big bully. It's going to basically militarize itself to death because at this point, the United States doesn't do democracy. It doesn't talk about, how we can come up with a peace and negotiation. If you don't like me, we'll just, we have a lot of nukes. So we'll just blow you up. We just become a big bully. And look at what's happened since. Once again, this is one of the reasons why I would never vote for Democrats under Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. She used to be the Secretary of State. So, and also Joe Biden was his vice president. So starting with Operation Timber Sycamore. Operation Timber Sycamore is the United States invasion of Syria. And once again, okay, I understand it's a culture issue. There's a lot of problems in the Middle East, but also part of the reason why it's the United States' plan for primacy. So what do I mean by primacy? Look at what's happening in the Middle East. The United States is involved in every single one of them, starting with Syria. Before the United States came in, I understand Bashar al-Assad, he has had many issues, but still, the country for the most part was a relatively normally functioning country. Then the United States came and everything is destroyed. Look at look up Operation Timber Sycamore. It was signed and approved by Barack Obama. It was carried out by Hillary Clinton, one of the most evil, one of the most vile person to ever existed. So Operation Timber Sycamore, starting with Syria, then look at Afghanistan, look at Libya, look at Sudan, look at Somalia, look at what happened, the chain events of disaster that followed. Every single one of them has been a complete disaster. Every single foreign conflict the United States has been involved in has been a complete disaster. This is what I mean. This is going to be the fall of the United States. They're going to militarize itself to death because it should not really be getting itself involved in these conflicts at all. So I think in a perfect world, China should not support Iran and the United States should not support Israel. And I think if you want world peace, either two things. Either you disband NATO. NATO has grown way too much. They did promise. James Baker met up with Mikhail Gorbachev. And this is when the Soviet Union was about to basically fall apart, dissoluted. And there was the 2+1 agreement. The United States, you can look this up, George Washington University, you can read it all in the archives. The United States agreed to never move past NATO, not even by 1 inch, not by 1 inch past Germany. They promised that all the way back in 1990. Look at where NATO is now. Look at Finland has joined NATO. Do you know what's on the other side of Finland? The Kola Peninsula in Russia. What's at the Kola Peninsula? That's where the Russians have all of their nuclear weapons in storage. Yes, so yeah, the Russian nukes are right next to NATO now on the Kola Peninsula. This is a huge disaster, right? So if you actually want world peace, right, have China join NATO or have Russia join NATO or have NATO disbanded. So thank you for the $10. I think China should not be supporting Iran and the United States should not be supporting Israel. They just sort it out themselves. If the United States, if they do go to war and if the United States gets dragged into this war, it's going to be a complete disaster. And not just that, look up Operation Timber Sycamore. It predicted all of this. So the United States, Operation Timber Sycamore predicted the United States was going to achieve primacy by basically being in conflict with all 7 of these countries, starting with Syria, then Afghanistan, Libya, Sudan, and the last one of these countries was Iran. So Iran's the last one on the list. That's their goal for achieving primacy, and it's been a complete disaster. And honestly, I thought on January 20th, when Trump took power, I thought within a week, possibly 2 weeks' time, Trump will be able to end the war between Russia and Ukraine, and he will be able to solve the problem in the Middle East. But unfortunately, I do have to say this part about Trump as well. He can't. So that means, the world is heading into a very, very dark place. Because if Trump cannot end it, it doesn't matter who comes after him. I mean, nobody from the Democrats can possibly end it. Who's going to end it? Elizabeth Warren, Amy Klobuchar, or Pete Buttigieg, whatever that guy's name is, the gay white guy. But yeah, this is the disaster. Thank you for the $10. Once again, right, I'm not saying, oh, Israel is so great, or Iran is so great, or China is bad, or Russia is bad. I'm saying that I want world peace. And we're heading into a very, very dark place because Trump has been in office for 5 months now, almost 5 months. And so far, there has not been any changes. So it's very, very concerning. And yeah, if you want to if I want to escape to a safe haven, if you want some refuge, go to an Asian country, still very, very safe. And look at the streets of Los Angeles right now. And yeah, I think the next civil war is going to happen in the UK. So yeah, the Western countries are heading into a very, very dark place. And it's very, very concerning. That's why I'm hoping 2 years' time I'll be out of here, probably living somewhere in Asia. Thank you so much for the $10. But yeah, I want you guys to look up 2 most important things. Look up the long telegram, once again, by George Kennan. And you can look up the archives from George Washington University about the United States meeting with the Russians in 1990. And they're agreeing that NATO would never expand 1 inch past Germany. And look up Operation Timber Sycamore that was approved by Barack Obama. So Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, absolute evil. All the damage, all the chaos caused in the Middle East, right? You don't want refugees, but look at what you're doing in the Middle East, right? It's been a total disaster. And I really hope, Trump still has 3.5 years, right? He's got to be able to find a solution. He's got a tough task ahead. But so far, if you want me to give him a grade, I would give him maybe a D-, because yeah, so far it doesn't look like there's going to be world peace anywhere. So thank you. Great leap forward. How old are you? And you have a degree. I'm 32. I'm about to turn 33. I think I've said this early in the video. I have a degree in Bachelor of Commerce. I also have a college diploma. heating, refrigeration, air conditioning. I know it sounds crazy, but it's okay. I graduated and I won't be coming back to school. Yeah, I'm in an empty classroom because right now it's the summers. Nobody here. So also the room I'm renting, it's tiny and a lot of bad smell. Man, my roommate Ankush, I mean that bidet thing. Oh my God, I can smell the poop in the bathroom, man. It's bad. He's got this what do you call it? Basically self-made bidet, and yeah, there's like poop stains in the bathtub. It's terrible. So I'm spending, either I'm working at the grocery store or I'm at the school, so that's where I spend almost all my time. So yeah, I think I'll wrap this up very soon. Thank you to everybody that's donated. I still have 90 views. But yeah, most important thing I want you guys to understand, look up the long telegram and look up Operation Timber Sycamore. And let me read a few more of these comments before I wrap it up. If you have any last moment questions, I'll try to answer them. You can try to type them out in the chat. I'll try to read some more comments. Israel and the United States. 1 inch wonder. 1 inch wonder. Israel runs America. Well, that's what Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes says, but I have my opinions on that. I don't think that's true, but I don't think the United States should be supporting Israel. Once again, right? I think they should just duke it out on their own. I don't think any foreign nation should get involved. Can you save all your live streams? Yes, I'll save this live stream. I don't know how the timestamp thing. I don't know. Is that automatic? I know some of my videos have them on there. I don't know if the live streams does that automatically. The timestamp is going to get very weird because I keep jumping around. But I will save this live stream if you want to come back. But most important thing, if you want to go back and rewatch this, just go to nearest the end. George Kennan, communism, Bolsheviks. So yeah, long telegram, Operation Timber Sycamore, two most important things. So what's happening in the West is definition of woke ideology. It's literally Karl Marx, Frederick Engels. And if you keep going down this path, yeah, just remember the Holodomor. Yeah, that's where the West is headed. Yeah, absolutely terrifying. Yeah. Trump is the best liar. You got conned into believing him. I know, understand. See, this is why I want to be fair on all sides. I mean, yeah, Trump has not kept up his promises to a lot of things. But I would have never voted for Democrats. I did mention, yeah, 320,000 children crossed the U.S. border and went missing. Yeah, because of Biden's executive order to remove the mandatory DNA test. Absolutely horrible. And you say China is bad. Well, I want to ask you, right? Who killed Jeffrey Epstein? So, Asians will close immigration to the West soon. Yeah, that's part of the reason why so many Asian countries are so safe. I'm sorry to say, diversity has not worked. Look at Japan, look at Singapore, Taiwan, China, South Korea. 99% homogenous. Yeah, diversity has not worked anywhere. So nobody wants 15 million white refugees. It's worth learning Mandarin as a black dude. So Jacques Thibault, is that an African Congolese name? Okay, I feel like West is cooked. Non-woke black men. I agree, man. A lot of, it's bad. I understand Black America has issues, but like the media also, they're not helping, man. They're trying to make everything worse. Learn Mandarin Chinese as a black dude. I mean, it is the second most spoken language in the world. I think it will help, but still, like, it's a massive challenge, I have to say. I'm glad it's my mother tongue because for you, if you speak English as your mother tongue, Spanish, French, Portuguese, Italian should be fairly easy. But if you're talking about something like completely out there, like Mandarin Chinese or Japanese or Arabic or let's say Hindi or Punjabi, yeah, that's a massive, massive challenge because it's a different system. At least, when you learn Spanish, it's the same 26 letters. When you learn French, it's the 26 letters. Because I think actually French came first. The English is actually derived from the French. Well, the British might say different, but actually French came first. So roughly 50% of English and French is the same. It might be pronounced a little bit differently. So, but it's a massive challenge. It's up to you. But, if you think, actually going to an Asian country or possibly going to China is better, maybe. But you have to remember, like, trying to learn Mandarin Chinese is going to be a massive challenge. I mean, I can't imagine trying to learn that myself as an adult. So it's like right now, like imagine if I try to take on Arabic or something. Yeah, it will be a mountain to climb. It's not going to be very easy. Maybe perhaps, a easier language for you to learn, like the third most spoken language in the world, Spanish. Maybe, and then, once you're financially stable, save up some money, maybe you can move to Chile or Panama or something. So, yeah, but yeah, the Western nations are looking very, very bad. It's looking very grim. So, what MBTI type are you? I'm not sure what that means. Lamau. Okay, Lamau. Okay, when I see that, LMAO, I think about like Lamine Yamal. I wonder where we should all be by 2028. Things are only going to get worse. Okay, there's a lot of new comments. I'll go through these last batch of comments before I wrap it up. Thank you once again to everybody. I'm in college. Okay, Nemo Strange. I'm in college and will be graduating by 2027. Where should I be? Where should I be and hide by 2028 as a mechanical engineer? I want to avoid all the chaos. So, I assume Nemo is a guy because few females actually want to be engineers. I'm not sure where you live in. If you live in Canada or America, so if you live in Canada, if you absolutely cannot escape Canada, go to Alberta. Honestly, that's why Pierre Poilievre went there. I think that might be the last hope for Canada, right? So move to Alberta, right? If you don't like a big city with too many immigrants, you can try a small town. If it's not Calgary or Edmonton, maybe you gotta try Lethbridge. Am I saying that right? Yeah, Lethbridge, maybe Red Deer, or maybe Fort McMurray, but like it's gonna be so cold up there. I don't know too many of the small cities. Maybe try a small town in Alberta. But yeah, I think it's last hope for Canada. If you're in the United States, I would say go to Florida. Yeah. I would say if you absolutely cannot leave the West once again, I think the UK is done, man. Like forget about the UK. I don't know too much about Australia or New Zealand, but if you're in the United States, move to Florida. Go to Tampa. Go to Fort Lauderdale. If you're in Canada, go to Lethbridge, go to Red Deer, or go to Calgary, go to Edmonton. Yeah, go to Alberta. So I would say those are the two options, the best options probably if you cannot leave Western countries. What happened to my HVAC career? Well, maybe I'll share that story later. I actually, well, I don't like to say those things. I don't like to play the race card. You know, I ran to a super racist white guy. I'm just saying, okay, I understand, you know, Muslims have issues, white people have issues, Asians have issues, but you know, obviously, I understand everybody can be racist. And I unfortunately, I did run into one of the situations. One guy I was working with, he was like super racist. I ran into a lot of issues. So, but it's weird, man. Like the thing that shocked me was his girlfriend was Muslim. That's the thing that absolutely shocked me. Like there's super racist white guy that I worked with. That I basically had to get myself out of that company. So yeah, when I saw his girlfriend, I was like, what the hell? He's dating a Muslim woman. And why would that Muslim woman agree to date him? He was like really racist, man. So but yeah, that's yeah, it's over now. But it's okay. Trump lied, but the Democrats are awful. We're screwed either way. Yeah, man. But Trump has still got time. I will still have faith in him if he can actually resolve the issue between Israel and Iran right now. And if he can actually end the war in Europe between Ukraine and Russia. He's still got time. We'll see. But yeah, so far he's not living up to his promise. I do agree. But yeah, I would never vote for the Democrats. Yeah, look up Operation Timber Sycamore. So 3 people behind that, right? Obama, Hillary Clinton, and Joe Biden. Absolute evil, man. We're screwed either way. You gotta stop being so triggered. What? Why am I being triggered about what? I'm not sure what you mean, but okay. What happened to a refrigeration job? Yeah, I just mentioned I ran into a super racist white guy. Bad stuff then. But the super racist white guy, he was dating a Muslim girl. So God knows, man. The world is turning upside down. So Supreme Court, they won't challenge a state gun laws. Terrible court. Trump is on the Epstein list. He and Bill Gates ordered his death. Well, I mean, that's, I don't know. Yes, Bill Gates and possibly the Clintons, I can see. I don't. Trump might be on the list, but I don't think. If you think Trump was behind Epstein's death, I mean that's a very serious accusation. I think there needs to be a lot more evidence on that. So I don't think that's actually what happened. But I do think yes, the Clintons and Bill Gates 100% evil. Diversity. Let me read. There's more comments. Okay, there's a few more comments. Let me read this. Non-white, not Chinese. Refuse to learn Spanish, not into Latinos. Jacques Thibault. Okay, Asian woman better. I'm first generation French American. Parents are from Senegal and France. Okay, oh that's why your name is Jacques, like a Jacques Cousteau, right? So, but very few speak French. I would say maybe moving to Quebec or something, but honestly, I did not like Quebec personally when I was visited there a few times. I also lived on the Quebec side for 1 year. You want to learn Canadian French. No, not French, not Parisian French, Canadian French. So, but I don't know, man. Canada's most part is done, man. I would say if you're in the U.S. right now, if you don't want to learn Spanish, go to Florida. If you can afford to live, maybe go to an Asian country. It'll be very hard to get permanent residence in China. It's easier than Southeast Asia. Maybe like Philippines or Vietnam or Thailand or Cambodia. It's much easier there for a foreigner to get some kind of residence, get a green card. In China's immigration system is very, very difficult. It'll be almost impossible. Even if you could get permanent residence, it will probably take you like 5 or 6 years. So yeah, because China is closing itself off from the rest of the world, because China knows the rest of the world is going nuts, so it doesn't want to open itself up. So I can't wife up one of these liberal Western women. Yeah, those are definitely the worst, man. It's just I agree, man. That's why a lot of men are choosing to leave. Yeah, it is a huge problem. If you're black, go to Southeast Asia instead of China if you want to go to Asia. Yeah, well, mainly it's even for a white guy. It's very, very hard for a foreigner to get actually a visa to live in China now. It used to be easier, but China is closing itself off. So, let me see. Why don't you actually talk about Chinese culture, history, economy? Why only society, economy, political? Well, yeah, I posted every time I post video on Chinese history, it performs terribly, man. It's just like my last video, I lost like 10 subscribers. Usually with my other videos, I gain like 20, 30, sometimes 50 or 100 subscribers every video. But every time I post it, like nobody watches it. So it's just it's a difficult thing, right? It's a rock and hard place. I'm trying to find a balance, and I want to talk about China more, but the algorithm just doesn't like it, and the subscribers, they don't want to watch it. So yeah, it's a difficult to find a perfect balance. Texas born and bred, Nemo Strange. Yeah, if you're once again, yeah, if you're in the United States, I would say move to Florida. LOL. Hi, come in, settle in Pakistan. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't be considering moving to Pakistan. Yeah. So, but I mean, if that's what you're into, they can't even type together a coherent. Meanwhile, they can't even type together a coherent sentence. Or are you talking about Pakistan? Or okay, move faster. Florida, it's a bad move. High crime, high real estate. High real estate, yes. Florida, I don't think, really, you think Florida is worse? It's got to be better than California. California is a shithole now. California, if it was a country by itself, it would already be a third world country. Move to Indiana or West Virginia. Well, I don't know too much West Virginia, really? Indiana or West Virginia. That's interesting. But I think West Virginia will only be good if you're a white guy. If you're like a white or Asian or Latino guy, I don't think it will be so good to move to. It wouldn't be a good choice to move to West Virginia. So, I'm work right now. Can't watch it online. Thank you for the archived live stream. Yeah, I'll save this live stream. I'm wrapping it up right now. Either I'm coming up to 3 hours. Thank you guys. So geomaxing is kind of lame. Sometimes may have no option, right? Imagine if you live in Midtown Manhattan. How are you supposed to live? Like 100,000, that's like minimum wage, right? Same thing if you live in Toronto or Vancouver. Sometimes, just people have needs. And sometimes if you want to find a wife and procreate, sometimes it's your only option. Go to a poor country and become a top G. So sometimes it's the only option. Let me see. Going for other reasons, I have connections that I can get permanent residencies in EU countries that are good. Maybe, I don't know. Even the EU countries, like, you think Germany is a good country? I mean, I don't know. I don't think Germany is a good country either. France, I don't think. Italy, Spain. I would say right now UK is the worst, for sure, though. I mean, if you're moving from the UK to France, it might be marginally better. I doubt it. Yeah, the world is heading to a very bad place. So, not in the Middle East. Pakistan's a failed state. Pakistan has a lot of issues. Okay. I'll check out your history, blend it in. Okay, thank you, Draga001 for $2. I'll check out your history videos, blend it in. I will try my best to find a balance. Thank you so much. Now trying to get blown up going to grocery shopping in Pakistan. Well, I don't know if it's that bad. Maybe it is. But hey, China is a very close ally with Pakistan. So I don't know, but they have issues, man. In Britain, we have Pakistan at home. Yeah, why move to Pakistan? Just move to London, move to the UK, man. So there, you can have Pakistans everywhere. So yeah, forget about fish and chips. The new national food for the UK, shawarma and falafel. So you can have everything. You can have the full Muslim experience in London, or Bradford, or Manchester, or Liverpool. Yeah, anywhere. So I was talking about the racist white people. What? Okay. It's better than California still. Cali is bad. Never noticed. Texas is a good place. Yeah. You can maybe try to meet up with Elon Musk. He lives in Texas, right? So, well, SpaceX is in Brownsville, Texas. So, wait, is it in Brownsville, Texas? Not sure. But yeah, don't go to California, man. I think, let me read. West Virginia sucks in general. Okay. Embrace his inner lady boy. No, thank you. Okay, whoever wrote that comment. UK is totally cooked. I'll be free to have a daughter in the UK. Yeah, man, I'm telling you, UK is going to be the first country to have a full-blown civil war. I think UK first, then maybe US, then Canada. Oh, thank you so much, Goy Slayer. Thank you so much for $20 spaced. Yeah, so, well, there's no questions, but thank you so much. But yeah, I think that's the first thing, right? If you live in the UK, you got to do your best to get out. Or there's probably going to be a civil war, and you better be ready to choose a side. It's bad. And I think afterwards, the civil war will come to the United States, then Canada, then Australia, New Zealand. Yeah, it's all going bad. The safest place, yeah, once again, go somewhere in Asia. And if you're in Canada like myself right now, if you can't leave in if you can't leave Canada, go to Alberta. I would say that's the next best option. I live in Houston, 100%. Jojo, if Canada, UK, America were racist and didn't let any immigrants, they'll be much better off. Unfortunately, I have to agree with you. Probably 80 to 90%. I wouldn't say immigration is 100% bad, but right now, the way it is now, the whole system, like Canada is letting 3 million people in 1 year at this pace. Yeah, it's terrible. It's gotten completely out of control, and there's way too much diversity, and that's why there's so many issues and conflicts. So, but yeah, it's doing way too much damage now. It's no longer benefiting. Yeah. So, and once again, just I want to follow up on the immigration. Like, for example, if you look at the UK, the reason why it's turning so bad, for the vast majority of the 20th century, right? So between 1900 to 1996, the UK has a net migration of 30 to 40,000 people per year. 30 to 40,000 people per year. That's why immigration can work and countries can benefit. Then someone took power in 1997. Tony Blair. Tony Blair also works for the World Economic Forum. Klaus Schwab. It's yeah. So Tony Blair came in and completely opened up the floodgate. Until very, very recently, the immigration has never been an issue in the UK. Even if you look at the 2001 census, in 2001, UK was 90% white British, and the UK was 93% white. Non-white people only made up 7% of the population. Now I believe it's about 20%. Imagine the UK in another 20 years. In another 20 years, it will be 60% white people. And by I would say 2050 to 2060, white people will be less than 50%. It's completely out of control. Right now, the UK is taking over 1 million people a year. This is what I mean. It went from a net migration rate of 30 to 40,000 people to taking in 1 million people a year. That's why everything has gone to shit, right? The whole thing is just a complete disaster. You cannot just open the floodgate and let everybody in. That's the issue. It all started with Tony Blair. I have a lot more to say about him, but maybe in the future. Thank you so much, Goy Slayer, for $20. Yes, for the most part, Jojo, you're right. There are way too many mass immigrations, the major number one issue. I think Africa is going to be sacrificed for the wars. Difficult to say. I don't like living in Houston, but I can make money, facilitate my retirement, and leave the U.S. Yeah. Most of the CCP and Russians at least have contact with the World Economic Forum. Yeah, that's a very evil organization, man. They were the ones who were basically started with the UK Tony Blair, and yeah, just starting everything went wrong with the UK in 1997 when Tony Blair took power. That's when immigration ran rampant out of control, and that's the state of UK now. Yeah, so UK Economic Zone 13, is that the Hunger Games? Yeah, so would Chinese represent date a mud shark? A mud shark, like a white girl who has been stretched out by a black guy. That's what you mean, right? So by a winter soldier. So winter soldier. I'm going to be honest, no. Preferably, even if she's been with a white guy, I would say no. But definitely, I mean, if she's been with a black guy who is packing 9 inches, I mean, she's probably going to be loose. And also, like, I will have to work 10 times harder. Also, I don't think I can satisfy her if she's been with a black guy who's, winter soldier. The 9 inches winter soldier. No, I'm just being honest. I wouldn't date a mud shark. I think that's what you mean, right? So I'm not sure 100%. So, predecessors of the World Economic Forum decided to invest in China and Russia and grow their economy. Okay, so just the last few comments before I log off. Once again, thank you so much to everybody who has joined. Do you think if her status right now is good enough to get a Chinese wife when you get back, Jojo? Well, actually, I mentioned before, so my family is really insane. So many divorces. My mom 7 times. My sister about to divorce for the 4th time. Like my uncles, aunts, cousins, all married. So, I mean, emotional trauma. Permanent emotional damage. Steven, he's a YouTube channel, he's meme. Yes, it's bad, man. So, I mean, I think getting a girlfriend is okay, just being in a normal relationship. But, like, I mean, you don't have to get married. Right now, am I good enough to get a I think as soon as I pay off my debt, then yes. Right now, no. But I think I would say in less than 2 years' time, when I pay back all my debt, I would say yes. Because at the very least, I mean, in China still having a university degree, I think is for women, it's very important in the dating market. For example, if you try to date a Chinese girl and if she has a university degree, but let's say if the man does not have a university degree, she will never look at you. That's what I mean. Like feminism, equality is all BS. Women will only date men who are better than them. Women date vertically up, men date vertically down. For example, would any woman date a man who doesn't know how to drive? No, a man has no problem dating a woman. However, right, if it's the other way around, if a guy meets a great woman but she doesn't know how to drive, the guy has no problem taking her in. So a man has to be better than woman. But right now, I'm in too much debt. But once I paid off, I think I'll be doing just fine. Because at the end of the day, this is what I mean by geomaxing, right? The average wage in China is about 5,000 yuan a month, or 60,000. Yuan per year, 60,000 yuan per year. You're looking at about 7,000. Yeah, not 7,000, 800, about 8,000 US dollars per year. Per year, that is the average income, right? So even if you make 40 or $50,000 a year, you're like 5 times above the average age. Like you go from you go from mid to top G. So sometimes it's necessary. Mud shark is crazy. I think that's what that comment meant. Yeah. Yeah. What if? Okay, there's a few more comments coming through. I'll go through the last few of these. What if in China the man's a millionaire and makes 150K in passive income and no degree? I think if the guy is rich enough, then I would say yeah. But let's say, imagine, let's say a woman's average girl, she's making average salary like 5,000 yuan a month, $700 US per month, and if she meets this guy with no education, but if he's making 6 or 7,000 yuan per month, so if his income is 10 to 20% higher than her, but he has no education, I don't think that woman will actually date him. But I mean, if you're rich enough, I don't think it doesn't matter. If you're a millionaire, you can date anybody. Yeah, once you make enough money, right? If you're a professional Chinese basketball player who plays for the Chinese Basketball Association, if you're 6'7", 250 pounds, full of muscles, if you're making $1 million a year, you will have no problems at all, even without any education. Thank you. Very interesting. What do you think about CCP enabling anti-Semitism to thrive on WeChat? Maya Cohen. So really, I guess I haven't been scrolling through on social media, but yeah, that's what I mean. Like a lot of people in the West, it's like you have to choose a side. China has made it very clear, like they're against Israel and they're supporting Iran and they're supporting all the Muslims. But then you guys say, oh, China is actually the bad one. But then you guys also say Israel's bad. So I haven't actually never heard of that. I haven't seen that. But I think once again, I think whatever happens between Israel and Iran, they should sort it out themselves. I have not seen those posts about anti-Semitism. When I was in China for 6 months, I didn't really see any of that. I think for the most part, China is just keeping it to themselves. I have not seen so much like anti-Western propaganda at all. It could be other people who are just trying to. There could be a few posts, but like that's less than 0.1%. And people just trying to make a big deal out of this. Say, oh, it's everywhere. So yeah, it could be blown way out of proportion. I think it's a very small thing. Okay. All right, bushy coincidence. Weird. If Chinese historian had a daughter, would he let her date a Kurat? What? Okay, I think some of these comments are trolls. Maya, it's Jewish. Okay, Geisler coincidence. Okay, yeah. I have not seen any anti-Semitism going through on Chinese social media. So I think it's just being blown way out of proportion. So I'm an engineer without a degree, long history. I'm an engineer without a degree, long history, but long story, but true. Really? Oh, that's quite interesting. So, how does Chinese view Native Americans? To be honest, I don't think they care, man. I don't think it's ever talked about much in China at all. I think they're more worried about their own lives. I don't think they probably don't care about Native Americans. Do you think Asia will fall due to low birth rate after the West? Yeah, man. The crisis is bad, man. Like right now in China, I would say probably at least 30% of the young women are race. They're saying that, like the, in South Korea, they have the 4B movement. They're saying that I don't need no man, like no sex with man, no relationship with man, no marriage with man, no children. So now China, before the leftover women, now they have these race. They're saying that, yeah, I don't need a boyfriend, I don't need a man, I don't need a husband. I just get a couple of cats or get a couple of dogs. I just work an office job and I just die alone. So yeah, the now women, they don't even care anymore. They don't care about the stigma of being a leftover woman. They're just saying that I never want to go on a date with any man. So yeah, I mean, they gotta somehow reverse this because yeah, it's a huge problem. Yeah, way bigger than any other problem out there. Because yeah, if everybody stopped having children, what the hell are you going to do? Just a bunch of old people left. So there's going to be no workforce. Yeah. Last few comments. Trump is very racist. I don't like shaking hands with public events. I mean, that's debatable. Some people say Trump is a racist. Personally, I would say maybe a little bit, but I would say I wouldn't classify him as a racist because at least he's honest and open about it. I think the real racists are the people who, they try to appear to be your friends. They say, oh, I love Asians, I love black people, I love Arabs. Just wait until what they say behind your back. Just wait until if you're a black guy, right, on a multicultural football team. Just wait until you start dating a white girl. And just wait until you hear what your white teammates are saying behind your back in the locker room. Just wait until you hear what they call you. Those are the real racists out there. So at least Trump is open and honest about it. People will hide it all the time. So, I mean, those are the real problems. So, yeah. Once again, yeah, I'm at 3 hours now. Thank you guys so much for everybody who has joined the live stream. I will save and archive this live stream. But once again, look up the Long Telegram by George Kennan. I will post a video on this that's coming up. And I will also post, Google Operation Timber Sycamore. So 3 people behind this: Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden. Absolutely evil. Thank you guys so much. I'll be logging off now. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Oh, just right before I log off, there's another one. I gotta, sorry, I'm gonna read a comment. Sorry, Javid, I'll just call you Javid Ben Cosme. Okay, just one last moment. Thank you guys so much. $50. Wow, thank you so much. $50 US. So I'm glad to hear that China tried to pass martial laws that favors men at least a little bit. But recently there's been a case of Shanghai Dantong going viral about innocent guy going to prison for 3 years because gold diggers. Hope you covered the story. Let me take a screenshot. I've never heard that story. I was right about to log off, and thank you so much for the super chat. I was just about to log off in like 5 seconds. So, what's Shanghai Dantong going viral about innocent guy going to prison for 3 years because of a gold digger? So this is about like the worst feminism stuff, I presume. Yeah, I took a screenshot. I will look into the story. Thank you guys so much. Just a good live stream. I know there's Chinese people dating different groups. Wow. Okay, there's another one. Thank you so much, Guai so thank you for the $10, another $10. Thank you so much. I'm gonna land this. Okay, well, okay, there's more. Just as I'm about to end. Love your channel, man. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much. Dragos XTC, Ron. Thank you so much for $25. And yeah, once again, this live stream will be saved. And yeah, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. The video will resume. Tomorrow's video will be on Kevin Samuels and Steve Harvey, if you're wondering. So that's going to be released tomorrow. You guys want to hear about Black Man or BBC, right? So I'll release that tomorrow. And I'll try to do one live stream a month because I'm extremely busy. But yeah, I think it's good to catch up about once a month. Yeah, see you guys tomorrow.